Good morning, universe. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America. Somewhere in between two formerly and potentially currently tariffed nations. It's hard to keep track these days. The news is moving at lightning speed. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Saturday, March 1st. We're in March already, people. We are marching straight to the finish line, aren't we? This is the TNAM AM Show. I'm getting off track already. The intro goes, broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between two formerly tariff nations. My name is Brian Engelman, and this is the TNAM AM Show. I was going to say the Agree to Disagree Show. I do a lot of shows. And thank you for joining us. We are here on the New American Media because the old American media has failed you. 14 years. We appreciate all of your support. We ask that you hit like, hit subscribe, however you're watching right now. The New American Media has a page on Facebook. Find it, like it. Page on Instagram. Find it, like it. A page on Truth Social. Find it, like it. The New American Media on Rumble. Find it, like it. We're monetized there. YouTube, 1,700, coming up on 1,800 videos over 14 years. Find it, like it. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. The Agree to Disagree Show is the umbrella that we will put the TNAM AM Show under. It's a division of the Agree to Disagree Show. That's our podcast. So find that on Spotify, iTunes, patreon.com/The New American Media. We're on Venmo at Brian Engelman, PayPal at Fuzz Installment, and Cash App, $ Brian Engelman. And finally, we're on, we're on X at American_media_, and then TNAM and TNAM chat on Telegram and Signal. We all saw what happened yesterday with Zelensky. We're going to talk about it. I guess I could take this off the screen here. There we go. I didn't mean for that header to be there. Although I don't mind it. It's okay. It's not really the size that I'm looking for, but I could put it over to the left. I might not mind it over there. So yes, let's do question of the day. Please join our show and type in the chat. We love hearing from you and incorporating your comments. Question of the day. What do you make of the Trump, Vance, Zelensky show from yesterday? Because it is a show. There you go. We'll pin that. Wild. I've watched it several times. That's another question today. How many times have you watched what happened yesterday? Let's go to this. We're gonna jump right into the news and show you. Whoop. Okay, hold on. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Side by side. Okay. This History and Memes posted this. This is saying this is the reaction. I don't know if this is Ukraine's ambassador, but I mean, it looks okay. Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S., Oksana Marakova, during the heated exchange between Trump and Zelensky.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire? But I said to you, I want a ceasefire. With guarantees. Because you get a ceasefire faster than an agreement. Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think. That wasn't with me. For you what, that wasn't with me. But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire? But I said to you, I want a ceasefire. With guarantees. Because you get a ceasefire faster.
What are those commercials? Want to get away? What is that, like an airline? Like, hey, we have cheap flights. You can go out to Vegas for the weekend. Just want to get away? This person wants to get away. Like, oh my God, is this really happening? Is this really falling apart right in real time? Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, we're going to say want to get away button. That kind of sums it up pretty nicely. Let's see what MSNBC's Ari Melber has to say. We're going to bounce around a little bit because we're unpacking our X feed. I'm sorry, this is our Instagram feed. So we're going to show you the stories as they arrive in our feed. All right, so this is an anti-Trump impeachment witness invited on the show. Just a reminder of how the country has shifted. Everything has shifted. You saw where Vladimir Zelensky had been very used to bullying Biden. And there are reports, by the way, that Biden had screaming matches with him because Zelensky's not an honest arbiter. That he lies and then goes back on what he agrees to. And he just keeps saying, more, please. Oh, thank you. May I have some more? Maybe I should actually, it's a pretty good idea. I need to share this on Facebook. Here we go. Join us live. Okay, that's been posted. And let's do this. We're going to share this. Where's the feed? Join the show. How do we share this? Here is the show. I'm making a post. Oh, there we go. Share? Where's share? Perfect. Now we found it. Okay, cool. What a crazy news day, people. I was kind of hooked on watching this yesterday. All right, cool. Let's get into it. Ari Melber. Here's how the country has changed. The huge difference between the nation under Biden. And Zelensky didn't know what hit him. It's like he had no concept of the tides have turned. Yeah, things have changed. Things have drastically changed.
For you after that, why was it important for you to say no more Trump because of his January 6th conduct? And do you stand by that?
No, I don't stand by it. And I'll tell you why. I've now lived 4 years under the Biden-Harris policies. And I have to say that those policies are not only becoming an existential threat to our country's way of life, but to our allies as well.
So when you Ambassador, I'll let you finish, but this is so striking. You said it was a no for me after that, after January 6th. I did. And here we are right now.
I did.
And you're saying it's a yes for you.
It is a yes for me. It is an absolute yes for me. That is how badly the Biden-Harris team have prosecuted their job.
Yep. But the whole point you seem to be making was that January 6th and that kind of attack on democracy is bigger than any policy.
I am seeing.
And remember, there was a very informative message that went out. When they say an attack on democracy, it's an attack on bureaucracy. Change the word democracy to bureaucracy. The ruling class, the bloated, the bloated forever state, the bloated deep state, forever perpetually in power, ruling from the shadows, entrenched, controlling every move, running us into oblivion. A bunch of maggots feasting on the carcass of the country, flooding it with non-Americans, looting all the treasure, $36 trillion, making us unsafe, making us unhealthy, engaging us in reckless forever wars. Yeah, the country has changed big time. And it's for the better.
So many attacks on democracy that it...
Attacks on bureaucracy. They're shrieking now to the skies. Ree! Because now there's going to be a tightening of the belt and a thinning of the herd. It's going to be shaking the tree branches and seeing if there's any dead limbs that get out. Using a brush, going through your hair, any loose hairs. You're just kind of combing. You're getting down to the most important stuff. You get the point. I'm making 20 analogies here, but you understand.
Clips January 6th.
So I want to ask Sarah,
If you want to ask me what those are, I'm happy.
a no for you after that.
There you go. The world has changed. You want to know why the world has changed? And we're going to we're going to build up. What you're going to see is the timeline of our stories from yesterday. If you follow the New American Media on Instagram, these are the stories that'll be at the top of our feed. We try to share really, we got some really great feedback from someone, just like they watch one of the legacy media outlets. They watch Fox. And they said, you guys covered 80% of the stuff you cover, I've never even seen on Fox. And your stuff is way more important. They said, I love your feed. It's the best. It's my favorite. I'm like, heck yeah. Awesome. It's nice to know that what you're doing matters, especially when Facebook won't let your audience see your content. YouTube won't let your audience see your content. We get higher ratings on Rumble sometimes than YouTube. We have 60 times more people following us on YouTube. 13 more years of experience on YouTube. But better numbers on Rumble because they don't artificially suppress them. Better numbers on X than we do on Facebook. But we've spent way more energy on Facebook over the years. Instagram. Geez, we were doing a show the other day. And Instagram blocked our account. Facebook did the same thing. And it's nice to know that what you're doing matters. All right, here is why the world has changed. Take a listen. Here's another one. This is NBC. Good grief.
Before, like right when the pandemic was striking, I mean, look, you had home loans at 3.5%. I mean, right? Car loans, 5.2%. Credit card interest rates, which are always terrible. Look at where they are today. So the idea of the Fed cutting interest rates would be these numbers would start to come down. You can see mortgage rates have already been falling in anticipation of the Fed cutting rates. They'll likely continue to fall. A lot of really smart people I know say you're going to have a 5 number there sometime maybe early next year, or even late this year. So for those people who are looking to buy a home, if you can find one in this tight housing market, or trying to refinance more likely, if you've recently bought, that's going to be the first place you're going to see the effects of lower interest rates.
So how bad did things get? Like, do you have numbers for, because we talked so much about how, I just set it up a second ago, how expensive it is to go to the grocery store. We know gas prices are falling, which is great. So tell us about what we saw in the improvements.
I mean, when you look at the vibe session, people feeling terrible about the economy, this is why. You had housing inflation, 8%. Gas prices at the worst were up 41%. So this is before, like right when the pandemic was striking. I mean,
there you go. The world has changed, not for the better. Behezy commented on that meeting. He said, we thought Trump picked Vance to balance things out. It turns out Vance has even hotter blood than Trump, which activates in the presence of tyrants. The future of America is in good hands. We're so sick of being taken advantage of. Turns out Trump has even hotter blood than Trump, which activates in the presence of tyrants. That's pretty wild.
In the case of
let me make sure this thing's moving fast. Let me make sure I'm getting all these stories. Here's Elon Musk talking about, he's on with Rogan trying to explain what's going on with Doge. What are they spending time on? What are they spending energy on? And why is it important? Well, it's the same reason. Look, I'm gonna talk with Adam Kokesh on Thursday at 3 p.m. I got to get my days and times straight. He and I went to Los Angeles City Hall and stood on the steps of City Hall, talking about tiny homes for the homeless, with Elvis Summers making these things. And I called out. I said, look, you need a place to put these. Don't put them in the park. Don't do what the VA has a field, has a massive sprawling complex that's been donated to you. Turn those into subdivisions and put tiny homes for the veterans. And every day you drive in, if any of those homes are occupied, you know that that's why you're working. You're here to help veterans that need your help. And until those people are placed in actual homes, your job's not done. And you should see that every time you drive in. I shared a report, I think it was on X, and I hope we'll get to it today, that, was it 12 million, 12 billion? It's so hard to even keep track of the numbers. They did a tiny homes plan, and several years later, nothing's been spent, or it's all been spent. Nobody has any accounting of where anything, nobody can say anything was done. And it's not just reckless. It feels intentional at this point. It feels like double-barreled middle fingers. But here's Elon talking with Rogan, talking about disappearing money in our budgets.
You know, in the case of Twitter, it wasn't a profitable company. It was like basically a break-even company, but at least it was break-even, and it had to pass an audit. The federal government is not break-even. It's literally losing $2 trillion a year, and it does not pass its audits. It fails its own audits. So, like, you know, there's a case where, like, I think Senator Collins was telling me about how she gave the Navy $12 billion for more submarines, got no extra submarines, and then held a hearing to say where'd the $12 billion go, and they were like, we don't know. That was it. I mean, basically, the stuff is so crazy. It's like only the federal government could get away with this level of waste. It's mostly waste. It's mostly not fraud. It's mostly waste. It's mostly just ridiculous things happening.
Because they've been able to do it this way for so long, and they've become accustomed to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Milton Friedman said, like, money is most poorly spent when you're spending someone else's money on people you don't know. How much are you going to care?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the federal government.
What did Margaret Thatcher said? The problem with socialism is eventually you run out of everybody else's money.
So they're spending someone else's money on people they don't know.
And that is the worst kind of spending. The least accountability. So here's what we're getting reports of. Ukrainian MP Alexander Dubinsky just called for an emergency session of Ukraine's parliament to initiate impeachment proceedings against President Zelensky after the Oval Office shouting match. This is huge. Zelensky's regime is collapsing in real time. So we're going to ask, what is the over-under on how long Zelensky remains in power? Let's say it's a 3-week bet. Would you pick the over or under? That's a question to you. There's a question of the day. Do you think Zelensky lasts more than 3 weeks or less than 3 weeks? Can't imagine this played very well. No, I don't. So let's follow this story. Let's see what happens. He's going back home with his hands empty.
Oh, you're
Talking about hands empty. Talk about the people in North Carolina and Maui. FEMA's supposed to be there to help. Take a listen.
tax money went to pay for illegal aliens in luxury hotels in New York from an agency that is meant to help Americans in distress from natural disasters.
Right, and I would like to
That's
know
fucked
how
up.
much, and I would like to know how much they spent on North Carolina and how much they spent on Maui.
Yes, exactly. What's actually happening is they're buying voters. That's really what's happening. It's like a giant voter fraud scam. They're importing voters, and it's really just a matter of time. Your tax money went to pay for illegal aliens in luxury hotels.
That's nuts. They took your money to give it to non-Americans and essentially ignored Americans in need. That's why people have left the Democrat Party. That's why we're speaking out, because we have nothing left if we don't speak out. And we're right to call out Europe for going after people for thought crimes, speech crimes. It's nuts. They're allowed to say we want Irish people in Ireland. We want English people in England. We want Americans in America, and that's where our priorities need to be. Not being a nonstop credit card to people like Zelensky, a nonstop credit card to the Tides Foundation, to George Soros, to the Democrat Party trying to import future voters. While they push to keep voter ID banned, not just optional or something, banned. Who would ban voter ID? Every place you voted, like every homeowners association, you have to be an owner in the complex. You can't just vote. You have to actually be there. You have to be a member. But the Democrats aren't okay with that. They want to create ballots. They want to deliver ballots by hook or by crook for power and control. I've said it before. There is no amount of debauchery that would deter a Democrat from seizing more power and control. Dereliction of duty, dare I say treason. There's nothing a Democrat won't do to seize more power and control. Meanwhile, there is nothing that a Republican won't have to sacrifice to stand up and try to fight against these powers. You tell me who's on your side. By the way, Republican, let's just preface, that means a MAGA Republican. That does not mean a rhino. By the way, I'm going to get to it, but how interesting. Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and Lindsey Graham are all against Zelensky now. That's two MAGA, two deep state. Two MAGA, two rhinos. That's called a coalition, people. So Zelensky is asked, would you like to apologize to President Trump for this whole debacle? Here's how that goes.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
No, I respect President and I respect American people. And if, I don't know, if I think that we have to be very open and very honest. And I'm not sure that we did something bad. I think maybe sometimes some things we have to discuss out of media, with all respect to democracy and to free media. But there are things where we have to understand the position of Ukraine and Ukrainians. And I think that is the most important thing. Yes, we are partners. You know, we are very close partners. We have to be fair. We have to be very free.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr.
Yeah. Zero gratitude, we said. This Zelensky fellow is negotiating in bad faith and changing terms and throwing a wrench in peace efforts. Enough is enough. Here's a take. It's Missidi. Says, I recommend watching the entire meeting with Zelensky, as it tells a very different story than the short clips circulating online. What actually happened wasn't an ambush like the left is trying to claim. To me, it appears like a calculated move by Zelensky, who came with no real intention of signing the original deal. Instead, he seemed intent on relitigating the terms publicly, using the media as leverage to strong-arm the terms in his favor. The conversation remained civil for most of the meeting, but the cracks were obvious. Zelensky repeatedly pushed beyond what had already been agreed upon, making sweeping declarations that would be Zelensky repeatedly pushed beyond what had already been agreed upon, making sweeping declarations that there would be no negotiating with Putin and that Russia would be financially responsible for the war. Trump, in contrast, played it close to the vest, sticking with neutral responses like we'll see. But when Trump made a general statement about how the war was a tragedy for both sides, Zelensky immediately cut in to remind everyone that Russia was the aggressor. It wasn't a correction, but a deliberate move to frame the discussion on his terms. Despite all this, the U.S. had already committed to continuing military aid. All Zelensky had to do was keep it together for a few more minutes, and he would have walked away with exactly what he needed. But that was never his plan. The turning point came when Trump noted that reaching a deal would be difficult if one side refused to engage. Vance added that Biden's strategy of openly insulting Putin hadn't gotten anyone closer to peace. That's when Zelensky shifted tactics. Rather than continuing to address the audience, he went straight for Vance, pressing him with hostile questions in an attempt to put him on the defensive. Until then, the conversation had been about presenting positions to the public, but Zelensky made it personal, forcing Vance to answer in real time while the media watched, applying very public pressure. His insistence that negotiating with Putin was pointless wasn't just an argument, it was an attempt to box Trump into a corner, ensuring that Zelensky's rigid stance would shape any future talks. Then came the exchange that everyone saw. Zelensky could have had a deal that would have likely ultimately provided security, but he torched the opportunity in favor of a public showdown. He wasn't there to negotiate. He was there to pressure, posture, and litigate his position in front of the cameras. But it backfired. Instead of walking away with stronger ties to the administration, he left with a fractured relationship and no clear path forward. At this point, it's hard to see how he regains the trust that he just threw away. Look at that picture. I'm just trying to frame the picture. How do I go full screen? I guess full screen doesn't really make it bigger, so it doesn't matter. I mean, that picture is one of there are some great pictures that are coming out. One where Trump is doing the thing with the hand and he's pointing at him and he's got the pinky tucked. He's kind of doing the thing. He's like, "Here, you don't have the cards." Yeah, Zelensky fumbled the bag. It was stunning to watch. That's a pretty decent take, by the way. Back to examining the autopsy of the Democrat Party. Here is CNN discussing what the party stands for and represents these days.
I'm going to speak some hard truths to my friends in the Democratic Party. This is not Joe Biden's fault. It's not Kamala Harris's fault. It's not Barack Obama's fault. It is the fault of the Democratic Party in not knowing how to communicate effectively to voters. We are not the party of common sense, which is what the message that voters sent to us. For a number of reasons. We don't know how to speak to voters. When we address Latino, and language has meaning. When we address Latino voters as Latinx, for instance, because that's the politically correct thing to do. It makes them think that we don't even live on the same planet as they do.
I don't like it.
When we are too afraid to say that, hey, college kids, if you're trashing a campus at Columbia University because you're unhappy about some sort of policy and you're taking over a university, and you're trashing it and preventing other students from learning, that is unacceptable. But we're so worried about alienating one or another cohort in our coalition that we don't know what to say when normal people look at that and say, wait a second, I send my kids to college so they can learn, not so that they can burn buildings and trash lawns, right? And so on and so forth. When we put pronouns after names and say she, her, as opposed to saying, you know what, if I call you by the wrong pronoun, call me out, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But stop with the virtue signaling and just speak to people like they're normal. Now, I'm going to speak some hard truths to.
All right, who is that lady? I don't see her name. No, anyway. That's what her party needs to hear. Luckily, they'll probably not listen. If they keep doing the wrong things, they'll never see power again, which they deserve. They deserve every bit. The Democrats deserve to be shattered to 1,000 pieces and scattered to the wind. Here's President Trump after that meeting yesterday with Zelensky. He's got some thoughts.
Mr. President, how long do you think it will take for Zelensky to want peace and be invited back to the White House?
Well, he says he wants it now. He wants to come back right now, but I can't do that.
Are you going to end? Mr. President, how long do you think it will?
Yeah, Zelensky fumbled the bag. America is done playing these games. Here's JD Vance against Zelensky.
You are going to learn to be more professional, Luke. That's what you're going to do, Luke. What the hell was that? I had to do that. This. Screw it. All right, are we good?
Are we good? All right, are we good? Oh. It was truly great to see. It really was. All right, next. Here's what Poso was saying on Human Events about Zelensky.
Breaking news as we're here in Texas, getting more breaking news from the White House now. Trump kicked out Zelensky. He did not walk out on his own. The rare minerals deal was not signed. The White House said the Ukrainians were begging to reset, but Rubio and Waltz informed them that Zelensky needs to leave the White House grounds, return when he's ready for peace. The president and U.S. officials felt disrespected by Zelensky's rhetoric and demeanor, citing that he was shrugging and rolling his eyes during the conversation. And the best part, the lunch that Trump and Zelensky were supposed to dine on and talk over was sitting in the hallway, and White House staffers were eating it rather than Zelensky. More breaking news as we're here in Texas, getting more breaking news from the White House now. Trump kicked out Zelensky.
Yeah, Zelensky threw a wrench in his own engine. Then POTUS threw Zelensky out of the White House. Trump's team ate Zelensky's lunch. Literally ate his lunch. That's just hilarious. Leading report reporting that President Trump will investigate fraud and waste in Ukraine in light of today's meeting with Zelensky, per Reuters. Yeah, please, we didn't need today's meeting to find out. Zelensky saying he can't account for $100 billion. $100 billion? So does Biden have that? Is Zelensky lying? Zelensky's a shyster. He's a disingenuous double speaker. He's double talker. He's disingenuous, two-faced. Watching him go back on previously agreed terms, like Marco Rubio, like they've all talked. They had this deal in place, and then Zelensky decides he's not going to do it and just throws it all away after already agreeing to it. They're like, you wasted all of our time. What did you do this for? We wouldn't have called a meeting if we didn't have an agreement. So then we got an agreement, and then you just ignored us. You went and tried to do your own thing. So now Disclosed TV is saying U.S. State Department is terminating the U.S. support of the Ukraine energy grid restoration. We'll say brought to you by the Trump, Vance, FAFO department. Mess around and find out. Here's Ben Swan. He's got a pretty fair take here.
Sounded like he made a threat.
You have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
His comment about you're going to find out in the future is basically if you don't continue to fund us and fund this war the way you have, and if you try to bring a peace deal, you're going to find out that was a mistake. That's the moment when I think you can see that something clicked for Trump, and that's when he got so angry.
God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
That.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
that.
And they just became very angry. How dare you come in here and tell us what we need to do for our country? Because the truth is, Zelensky's a con man. Everyone knows he's a con man. Let's all stop pretending that he's the next George Washington. He's a con man. And I got to say one more thing about the costume. The fact that when he was saying, maybe I'll get a suit, and he said, maybe I'll get one nicer than yours, you better be able to afford one nicer with all the billions of American dollars you've stolen. I would hope you could afford a nicer suit than J.D. Vance.
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people.
Something else that Trump said that's so important.
Gambling with the lives of millions of people.
You know, Trump likes to get personal. Obviously, that's what he does, right? One of his most effective forms of insult is he gets very personal. And the moment that I think that makes Zelensky look the worst in all of this is when Trump says to him, "You're not such a tough guy. If you didn't have the U.S. supplying you weapons and us fighting this fight for you, you wouldn't be so tough." And I thought that was a very, very emasculating statement to make, because the truth is that Zelensky's not a tough guy. He's an actor who's playing a tough guy on TV. We know that. We've seen that for years. But the American public has been allowed and fed this narrative of how tough he is. And all of a sudden, he didn't look so tough today. He looked like a stammering fool sitting there. It sounded like he made a threat.
Yeah. You know, was this all scripted? I don't know why Zelensky would sign up to do something scripted like this. Good morning, David Bann. Question of the day. What did you think about Trump, Vance, Zelensky show? What's your take from it? If you had to sum it up in a sentence or two, what's your take, David? Yeah, I didn't like that. It felt like we were getting threatened by Zelensky. That's exactly how I took it. Maybe I get he's just like, oh, you got so good, but one day you're not, and then you'll understand what it feels like. No, pal. You're meeting with all these clowns, the Susan Rices, and Victoria Nuland and Obama, Biden talked you into this in the first place. Like, you are playing on the wrong team. You did go all in with the deep state to keep pushing for NATO expansion up onto the Russian border. You pushed that. Oh, but they hit me first. It's sort of the equivalent of the recess in 7th grade or something. Get right up in someone's face. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. You're like, hey, man, I told you 100 times, you got to get the heck out of my face. You're in my personal space, and I'm feeling threatened right now. You need to back the hell up. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. The people that just constantly can only say that Russia started this since 1990 with Gorbachev. Oh, we're not going to take NATO east. We're not going to do that. They've done nothing but that. And Ukraine was the red line. Yeah, they're in the find out phase, as that comment says. Good job, Ben Swan. This is being shared by Dinesh, retweeted by Elon. So Elon Musk has figured out the Soros racket. I want to talk about who's funding all these people all over the place. It doesn't involve Soros spending his own money. It involves Soros making a seed investment so he can get his hands on your money. He then makes you pay through the government to fund your own destruction.
It's kind of a hack to the system where someone can get an NGO stood up for a fairly small amount of money. Like George Soros was really good at this. Like George Soros is like a system hacker. Like he figured out how to hack the system. He's a genius at arbitrage. These days he's pretty old, but a genius at arbitrage. So he figured out that you could leverage a small amount of money to create a nonprofit, then lobby the politicians to send a ton of money to that nonprofit, so you can take what might be, a $10 million donation to a nonprofit to create a nonprofit and leverage that into $1 billion NGO. A nonprofit is a weird word. It's just a non-governmental organization, and then the government continues to fund that every year, and it'll have a nice sounding name, like the Institute for Peace or something like that,
or the Patriot Act,
but really,
or reverse mortgage.
It's a graft machine. It's a kind.
Oh, what did we say on that? We posted a nice comment there. What did we say? It's the equivalent of stealing a person's car and then running them down with it. America has been overthrown in a coup, and this is the second American Revolution happening in real time. It's overdue, glorious, and necessary. Jason D. Meister says Zelensky just learned the difference between Biden and Trump. He learned the difference between America last and America first, all while the world watched. Okay, FAFO, MAGA is defending America. It's great to see. It really is. It was nice seeing J.D. Vance as well. Very strong.
Number one.
Forceful. Very good. Very honest. We're so sick of the disingenuous stuff happening. Here is Uncle Ted on Real America's Voice. Talk with Eric Bolling about Zelensky.
One, you're speaking truth, logic, and common sense. What a target-rich environment for the A10 warthog of real America to crush so-called leaders of nations. If Zelensky is the leader of a nation, then I'm Caitlyn Jenner's boy toy. I mean, this little punk finally got his ass handed to him by a real president, a real commander-in-chief, and a real vice president. My phone is blowing up because people in the asset column of America, working hard, playing hard America, we are rejoicing that we got an kicker in the White House instead of Mitt Romney bringing a doily to a gunfight. President Trump and J.D. Vance bring an A-10 Warthog to a discussion. This is a glorious time. I'm like high on real leadership right now, Eric. God bless you for articulating exactly what real Americans are feeling right now, because this is a moment in time. This is a historical moment, and I'm celebrating.
I literally said I'm driving. I'm coming to the studio. We had the show planned down. I'm like, listen to this, like, oh my God, got this studio. I'm watching this unveil in front of me one of the most amazing moments in, I will call it diplomacy, because we're tired of being stepped on and walked over and pushed to send people billions and hundreds of billions of dollars everywhere in the world. And for what? Trump, for once, says, give us something back. Give us a mineral, some rare earths and some mineral rights to the Ukrainian production, and we'll give you more money. We're not going to pick you as the winner of the war. Listen to this very, very short, brief moment, so I think captures the essence of the whole 7 minutes. Watch.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to...
Great job, Mr. President, with respect. Like, he talked right over him to finish his point. That was boss right there. Linguistically, in the fencing world, the dual world, that was a nice parry. You deflected their attack, and then you counterattacked. That was just nice. J.D. Vance has a knack for linguistic let's just say he has a linguistic knack. That was a really nice move. That if I had I would rewind this 5-10 seconds and play that one again. I can't on Instagram, but that part is perfect how he does that.
Come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
Yeah, why is it being litigated in front of the media? You already litigated with Marco Rubio. We were done. Why are you trying to change terms now?
Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine?
Yeah. We've all seen these videos of people getting kidnapped, conscripted, kidnapped and stolen and forced into military. I'd say service, but I mean, it's being forced into a body bag. Kidnapping people. That's how bad it is right now. And so given the state of where things are at for you, maybe you should be a little grateful that we're helping you end this, because it's bad. And the people there are sick of it and they want it to stop. Doesn't seem like Zelensky even wants it to stop. He acts like he does behind closed doors. He'll take a phone call. He'll have a pseudo meeting with Trump. He'll sit down with Rubio. They'll go over details. They reach agreements, and then he comes out changing the terms. What a shady MFer.
Say what problems we have.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
Yeah, isn't it nice to have an American president with some pelotas?
You know, I've been
pelotas.
Honored and humbled and privileged and inspired, stimulated to be in the presence of the great Donald Trump after he came down the escalator for the 2016 campaign. And that's the real McCoy. This is how real Americans who put their heart and soul into being the best that they can be, whatever endeavor, whatever career, whatever dreams they're pursuing. And this is the spirit of what we call the Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire, not just the Spirit Campfire, Real America Voice, Truth, Logic, and Common Sense celebration, but real campfires. I mean, I spend hundreds of campfires with great American families every year with our sunrise safaris. And this is the spirit. This is the power, the authority. We the people, Constitution, Bill of Rights, 10 Commandments, Golden Rule, work ethic, law and order, good over evil. This is the greatest commander-in-chief, and it's on the stage for the whole world to see. So the people who hate Donald Trump clearly hate when America has proper constitutional, logical leadership. So this is a great, number one, you're speaking truth, logic, and common sense.
Yeah. How glorious is it? I mean, for 4 straight years, it just felt like we were being taken advantage of and there was nothing we could do. So I looked up, because I thought what word, I'm big on verbal linguistics and body language. And strategies and stuff. But cojones is what I thought he was trying to say. Huevos, meaning eggs. It could also be slang for testicle. But pelotas literally means balls, but could actually be used as slang for testicle. Pelotas. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I did not know that. Oh, Caitlin Collins, still getting access, still asking questions.
In areas that a very good question. Thank you so much. President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about. So we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian?
They'll be protected. The agreement will protect them. The agreement, yeah. We're signing an agreement.
You know? What if Russia tries to invade or orders Russian aggression to their spots?
I just told you I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. You know, they ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions. Right. Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings, I don't think they're going to survive. Let's go. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Since I already mentioned Poland.
I mean, you know, was that necessary? But I mean, look, okay. I mean, look, don't make me side with Caitlin Collins, but yeah, I mean, what guarantee does a mineral rights deal give us that there won't be future aggression? I mean, yes, if you go into business with people, then you have other reasons. Like maybe let's say two neighbors don't particularly care for each other. One of them's too loud. The other one borrowed their tractor and brought it back broken and claimed they didn't do anything to it. The wives have insulted each other, and the guys are battling over where the property line is and not mowing a piece of grass. And you're just like, oh, this is the crappiest place to live. It's the worst. But you set it aside because both of your kids are on the same baseball team. And you're like, for the good of the kids, let's just keep it together, you know, for the good of the kids. So maybe some of these mineral rights deals are like, look, we're connected in other ways. We don't need to if this doesn't need to get worse on the other side. Like, remember, our kids are schoolmates and they're on the same teams. Like, let's be cool for them. I think there is some power to that. I do wonder, in a U.S. aid sort of way, are we going to be like a peacekeeping force, winky wink, working on these mineral rights deals, and then bam, then you got the forces right there. Sponsored by Halliburton. I don't know, maybe not. But Trump was also, the reports were saying that there's going to be an aluminum deal with Russia in the United States. And the more business deals you have, the more you could say, hey, hold on. We don't need any conflict here. Hold on. We're partners on a lot of things. Let's just keep that in mind. So it's not the worst question I've ever heard by any stretch. And it's like, well, what about this deal is going to keep things safe? All right, well, articulate that, explain that a little bit. Help us understand. But the overarching theme here is that Trump tried to sign an agreement and Zelensky determined that was a lie. Here is the report about Zelensky. So Zelensky has two Ys now. Has it always had two Ys? I'm seeing it written with two Ys, but for the longest time I saw it with one Y. My question is, why?
Yeah, I just went up to the press area to get an understanding of what we're watching. This is what I was told. The president has kicked Zelensky out of the White House. His delegation right now is telling him that he's got to go home. The president felt disrespected. Officials in the room felt that beyond the language barrier that we've heard some discussion about, Zelensky's body language, shrugging and eye rolling, was ungrateful, disrespectful, and the president feels that Zelensky is not ready for peace, and he can come back when he's ready to talk about peace, but he's not in that position right now, and Zelensky is being told he's got to go. video. The lunch that they were supposed to have is sitting right outside the hallway, and the press staffers are going to be eating that lunch. This is really pretty incredible. We see the SUV that Zelensky's SUV.
Trump and Vance ate his lunch, and then the staffers literally ate his lunch. Oh, that's glorious.
If you look to your left, you're going to see him. Let's watch.
Mr. President, is the deal off? President Zelensky, can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, I just went up to the press area to get an understanding of what we're watching. This is what I was told. The president has kicked Zelensky out of the White House. His delegation right now is telling him that he's got to go home.
Go home, buddy. See ya. Tulsi Gabbard chiming in, Director of National Intelligence. Thank you, real Donald Trump, for your unwavering leadership in standing up for the interests of the American people and peace. What you said is absolutely true. Zelensky has been trying to drag the United States into a nuclear war with Russia, World War III, for years now, and no one has called him out on it. Thank you, Vice President J.D. Vance, for speaking out so forcefully and clearly about the necessity of diplomacy. Tulsi and Vance have been great picks to help advance the MAGA 2.0 agenda. Yeah, Vance won a few points yesterday. I was really, really proud of Vance, JD. JD made me feel like we were in good hands.
There's something I need to say, and I need to be.
Here's Michael Schellenberger. Look, if you can ever have a couple minutes to listen to listen to somebody about an opinion, Schellenberger gets a lot of stuff right, man. He's one of the voices I turn to. He has a knack for finding interesting angles and putting things in perspective.
Be blunt. So let me start by saying I love Europe. Truly love Europe. I love visiting Europe. I love Europeans. I have European friends. I respect the relationship we've had for a really long time. You Europeans do not respect Americans. You can protest and say, no, we love America. No, you don't. We know you look down on us. You think you're better than us. And in some ways you are. You know, you work 35 hours a week. You have longer vacations. You've got this magnificent culture. We get it. But any relationship in which one side doesn't respect the other can't last. This thing where Ukraine comes to the White House and acts like it can tell us what we should do, that's not what the relationship is. This thing where somehow we're on the hook, including for countries that are not in NATO, that was never the deal. Ukraine is not part of NATO. We were never obligated to protect Ukraine. Maybe that was something that Europe wants to do. Great. Europe should go protect Ukraine. We have no NATO agreement with Ukraine. And this thing where then Zelensky then goes and quotes all these other European leaders, they're with me, not with the United States. Great. Go work together. We have 100,000 Americans being killed by the Chinese and Mexican fentanyl and methamphetamine mafias every year. Our kids are not learning to read. We have thousands of veterans with PTSD and are hurting. We have been at war in the Middle East for a quarter century. It's been 80 years since we bailed out Europe. You have your own militaries. You have your own nuclear weapons. I've been trying to be really indirect about this for years. I've been trying to be soft pedaling that you guys don't get it. Europeans do not get it. You guys think that this relationship is going to last forever. You think that because something's written down on a piece of paper, it's going to last forever. Americans have voted against this multiple times. It doesn't matter. This is not about what you think of Trump or like Trump. People on the left, on the right, they do not want to be in a nuclear war with Russia. How can we explain this to you? We do not want to continue to be in the Ukraine war. We want peace. Our natural inclination is to actually not get involved in conflicts in Europe and Asia. We didn't want to have to continue to intervene after World War II. I get it. But times have changed. We're ready to move on. And we bear a lot of responsibility for this. The United States bears a lot of responsibility for this. Our people, our administrations, our think tanks told Zelensky and told the Europeans that, we were loyal to that alliance, that we were going to stick with them. No, that's not, the American people are not on board with that.
No, we are not on board with that.
It's not.
I said this. Zelensky made the mistake of believing Victoria Nuland, the warmonger for the deep state, believing Biden. Oh, God, Biden and Obama. What a mistake. And they're not even a NATO nation. We're not on the hook for this. You linked up with the deep state that installed you as their puppet. They've been grooming you for this. You've been used as a pawn. If I could apologize on behalf of the deep state, I mean, what a ridiculous thing to say, but I'm sorry you believed them. We're trying to get you out of this. You were taken advantage of. You were played as a pawn, and the deep state didn't care how many people were sent home in body bags. We want to stop that. You better wake up. I've been saying for a long time now that I think Zelensky's in trouble. Like I said, 3 weeks. There's our question of the day. Do you think Zelensky lasts more or less than 3 weeks? Type your comment into the comment section, because we're already seeing that there's calls for his impeachment now. He's already delayed and suspended elections like a dictator. Question of the day, type it. Will Zelensky last longer or shorter than 3 weeks? Will he be in power for more than 3 weeks or less than 3 weeks? Because when things collapse, they happen fast. I mean, whether it's a divorce, a firing, you're president one day and you're taken out the next, you're on a board of directors. I mean, look, things move real fast when the parties involved decide they're not having it anymore. Things move very fast. So keep your eyes peeled. If he doesn't play his cards right, I would say less than 3 weeks. The only way he gets longer than 3 weeks is if he calms down, apologizes, takes this deal. We'll see.
Again, the left has traditionally been against those kinds of military entanglements. Now the right is, but a lot of the left is too. A lot of Democrats, a lot of liberals. I would love an orderly transition here, but the behavior that we're seeing coming out of European leaders and out of Zelensky just now in the Oval Office suggests that the relationship is over. We'll reset the relationship afterwards. We can have a trade. We're going to visit each other. It's great. But this thing of this entitlement, I don't think Europeans understand how angry it makes us. I don't think Europeans really understand how much Americans want to deal with our problems. We go to Europe. You have universal health care. You work 35 hours a week. You retire at a young age. You don't work nearly as hard as we do in the United States. You have many more benefits, in large part because we pay for all of your security, or a large part of it.
Yeah.
And in return, we just get disrespect, entitlement, like we're like your children, and this is a dysfunctional relationship. It needs to end. It needs to change. Okay, maybe there's a transition period, something, but this is gone too far. And I think that the anger that you saw in
it is a dysfunctional relationship. It's an unhealthy relationship.
The White House with Trump and Vance with Zelensky holding his arms, rolling his eyes, acting like he was telling us what the deal was. No, that's not a Republican, Democrat, whatever thing. That is not how we're going to be treated by people that we're helping. So it's time to grow up. It's just it's time for the relationship to change.
Yeah,
there's something.
Well said. I think there was a lot of context in there.
President Trump said after.
Shared from Officer Tatum. This is Brett Baer again. You know, here you go. Here's your chance to set things right, and he can't even do it.
To your meeting, that you disrespected him and the vice president and all of America in the Oval Office. Do you think you did, and do you think you owe an apology to President Trump?
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for the invitation for this dialogue, and good evening to all your country, to all Americans. I'm very thankful to to Americans for all your support. You did a lot. I'm thankful to President Trump and to Congress bipartisan support. And I was always very thankful from all our people. You helped us a lot from the very beginning during 3 years of full-scale innovation. You helped us to survive. Anyway, we are strategic partners. And even in such tough dialogue, and I think we have to be very honest. And we have to be very direct to understand each other, because it's very, for us, very necessary to President Trump. And I'm with all respect that he wants to finish this war, but nobody wants to finish more than we, because we in Ukraine, we are in this war, we are in this battle, a battle for freedom, for our lives. So I'm just telling that I think that we have to be on the same side, and I hope that the president on our side together with us, and that is very important to stop Putin. And I heard from President Trump a lot of times that he will stop the war, and I hope he will, and we need to pressure him with Europe, with all the partners. And I think
he's going to pressure Trump with the European partners. Yeah, Europe should be handling this mess. Europe should be footing the bill for this mess.
Dialogue had to be a little bit earlier to understand where we are. Like, I don't remember exactly, but like President Reagan said, that peace is not just an absent the war. Yes, we are speaking about just and lasting peace, about freedom, about justice, about human rights. And that's why I said that I think so, that ceasefire, and Putin, he broken 25 times ceasefire during all this year.
By the way, this is a question about apologizing to Trump, and he's completely ignored it.
10 years.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
No, I respect President, and I respect American people. And
No, you're not respecting the American people. You never have. And when you did that whole opening diatribe thanking the American people, we didn't vote for this shit. We did not vote to send our money to you instead of rebuilding East Palestine, Ohio, after that chemical spill and explosion. When the powers that be said, oh, there's toxic chemicals everywhere. I've got an idea. Let's incinerate them. Let's spread all of that into the air to mess everybody up. That's a brilliant idea. Instead of scooping, cleaning it. Brilliant. No, Americans did not do this. He was asked if he should apologize to President Trump. He's like, I want to thank America for helping us. We didn't want to get involved in this. It's not our problem. Our problem is fixing East Palestine. Our problem is trying to figure out what caused Maui to be erased from the map. Well, as long as the things weren't blue. There's a lot of blue stuff that survived. You've seen the pictures of blue things that survived, which is a conversation for another day. But Americans who lost their homes, those people in Maui should be getting taken care of. That's what we care about. We see things like Hurricane Helene. All of those people lost their lives, lost their homes, lost their livelihoods. We want those people to have a house to go into. That's what we want. We saw Pacific Palisades. We want to put tiny homes on these people's lots so they can rebuild. Figure out a way to rebuild our country. Thank the American people. No. You should thank President Trump and say you're sorry for going in there, rolling your eyes, crossing your arms, confronting JD, trying to pick a fight, changing the terms of what you already agreed to with Marco Rubio behind closed doors, making us look stupid. We're done. We're not Biden. We're not the Obama-Biden cartel that got you involved in this mess in 2013-14 when they installed you in their coup as their puppet to push NATO right to the Ukrainian-Russian border like we saw. Knowing full well that Russia said, you're never going to do this. You're never joining NATO. You're not putting weapons right on our border. You're not doing it. You've known not to do it. And you did it anyway. So your thanks to the American people. Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. See, we want to deal with the homeless situation on our streets. They're mentally ill people or drug addicted people. Maybe there's 5% of the people that are down on their luck. Maybe there's 10%. Fine. But 9 out of 10 of them, they got a few screws loose or they can't lay off of the junk. We need to invest our money to helping Americans There are veterans sleeping on the street with PTSD, hooked on OxyContin, being killed by fentanyl that's coming up across both of our borders in Canada and Mexico with the help of China. That's where we need to focus our energy. You were asked to apologize to Trump and you're thanking us. Thanks, but no thanks. That money was stolen from us. We never got a vote. Imagine if every person in the United States got a text message. Wouldn't this be a great idea? No, because it would be abused. But let's just imagine. How many people would like to try to understand what was it, $350 billion of spending on our credit card tab when we're 36 trillion in debt? 36 trillion? I'm losing track of the numbers here. Actually, let me check. The number is, it's just the number. Yep, 36 trillion. I got it. If some egghead could calculate how much $350 billion on our credit card through inflation has damaged us and caused the price of everything to go up, if that number could be calculated, so everybody had to make a share donation to you, I don't think you would have half the money that you have currently. I don't think you'd have half the support. All right, let's get some comments here, and I'll get back to Zelensky. All right, Grit on the Gridiron. What's up? Everybody watching, please hit like, please hit subscribe, the notification bell. Your comments keep things rolling. Thank you. If you're watching on Rumble, we have super chat options over there. Thank you so much. You think nukes will be dropping soon? Look. If I were President Trump, I would be. You know what? I would demand that I would bring Pete Hegseth in for the next conversation. If there's a future conversation with Zelensky, if there's a deal that can be made, they'll make it. They're going to do it. These are two reality TV people. Let's keep it in mind. He's a comedian. Trump's a comedian. He's an actor. He's an actor. He had his television show. Trump had his television show. And at one point he said, I know it'll make great television. Couldn't get a deal, but we had to see it. Now you saw what we saw. And it did. It made great television. But if there's a deal to be made, they'll make a deal. Hurt feelings be damned. Maybe a little apology here or there. I don't know that Zelensky has an apology in him. He's real. He's like, you wouldn't be so tough talking your trash without me standing behind your shoulder, is what he said. He's like, bro, you're biting off more than you can chew. You're barking real loud thinking that your pit bull behind you has got your back. Buddy, I don't got your back. I didn't get you in this mess. All I'm trying to do is get you out before you have to steal and conscript more young men from your country to go get slaughtered and brought back home in pieces in a body bag. You better know your role. You're acting real tough because of what we're doing for you, and you're showing no gratitude for it. J.D. Vance was absolutely right to call him out on that. And we're not saying grovel and kiss the ring and kiss our ass. We're just saying a little bit of respect. The arms crossed, sitting back, rolling his eyes. That's not diplomacy. That was a fail. So here's what I'm saying. I would call Pete Hegseth immediately and say, I want extra patrol off of our Pacific coast, off of our Atlantic coast right now. What Zelensky just said that set Trump off, and it set me off too. It set Ben Swan off, as we played earlier. Oh, you have a great ocean. You have a great ocean but one day you'll be attacked and you'll know. Oh, you mean like a false flag? Like that? Because by the way, this Ukrainian war has been an American war. If Russia retaliated on the United States for the war that we have been running, a proxy war through Ukraine, it's the American war that we didn't vote for. I would never advocate to get attacked. Like hear me clearly. Russia is identified that the United States is behind all of this. We're funding it all. It's on all of our cards are turned upside down on the poker table. There's no pretending. We could absolutely get attacked as retaliation. We're giving missiles and hey, now you can send these directly into their key cities to try to decapitate the head of their government. Oh, we're doing that? And then we got all these drones off the East Coast, not too far from the White House. Are you serious? Yeah, I would have Hegseth put America on high alert after that sneaky meeting with all the Europeans. I gotta tell you what, if you if we can pull a false flag, then America will see. It ain't so easy. We'll get their support. We just take down a tower or two in Manhattan. Twists mustache. Diabolical. It felt like a threat. It felt like a threat. And after a sneaky European leaders meeting with, I believe Trudeau was in that picture. Macron, Trudeau, Starmer. No, man, these aren't our pals, pal. I would be very concerned. I would be on high alert right now. You saw they're trying to get a peace deal. So what happens? Ukraine launches. What was it? There was a. Oh no! It was an explosion drone at the Chernobyl power plant. These people are addicted to war. The military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us about. You get close to peace, and there's going to be, oh, look at this event. Oh, look at this event. So what if there's something staged and you go, see, Putin attacked Russia. We have to mobilize against Russia. We have to get into this war. Look, there's a 9/11 of biblical proportions. Guess who was behind it? Russia. Guess who Trump works for? Russia. Guess who had a P-tape on Trump? Russia. Guess who? The deep state has been trying to frame Trump as being a Russian asset for 9 years. They are addicted to pushing this war with Russia. I'm sick of it. Trump is sick of it. He brought that up at the meeting. He's like, nobody knows what I've been going through, like with Putin. They keep trying to link me to Putin, trying to say I'm an illegitimate president. Hillary Clinton and the whole DNC and all of the lying mockingbird media. Russia rigged the election. Russia stole the election. Yeah, they can say that for 4 years straight. But when you literally watch Trump going through one of the easiest landslide victories in American history, because obvious reasons, all of the obvious reasons that we saw, all 7 fraud states or swing states with Trump up hundreds of thousands of votes magically stopped counting on election night. You're not allowed to say what you saw with your own eyes. You can't say that 2020 was a coup to fortify the election against Trump. Zuckerberg, $600 million buying unsecured drop boxes in all the fraud states to collect piles of ballots and dump them in. And look, there's people that voted. No signature verification needed. Oh, I don't know. We got 60 more million people with social security numbers than reside in the country. I mean, what do they say on The Simpsons? The dead are coming back and they're voting Democrat. I think that was a Treehouse of Horror episode. Horror episode. They've been trying to frame Trump as a Putin asset, trying to link him with Russia. Russia's been the bad guy for what? How long now? Didn't Russia help the United States in the past? Haven't we been allies before? Couldn't they be allies with us against China right now, who's poisoning our people with fentanyl? This doesn't have to be going the way it's going. It didn't have to go the way that it went, and it could be stopped now if Zelensky was interested. He appears to be uninterested. So will nukes be dropping soon? It's a great question, Grit on the Gridiron. I am more concerned than I ever was that there will be a false flag attack and they will try to say it was Russia. Would they say it's a splinter cell? I'm actually watching. And I'm enjoying it so far. The Sum of All Fears I'm halfway through it. I did stop watching it. But that's what it is. It's about a guy who takes over in Russia. And, you know, what's going on? And like the tension is escalating. Are they going to do this? How do we respond? What are we going to... Morgan Freeman and Ben Affleck. It's been really good. I've enjoyed the first half of it so far a lot. I don't know how I never watched it before. So, yes, I'm concerned. Will nukes be dropping soon? I'm concerned. I'm concerned that Zelensky could sacrifice a bunch of his people in the most heinous attack yet and blame it on Russia because they've lost all their support. The babies. Won't anyone think of the babies? There's babies. Babies are hurting. Babies. I remember doing a show with Blake, and he was so angry that Israel was saying that babies were decapitated. Oh, he was furious that there was propaganda in a war. Yeah, there's propaganda on both sides in a war, always. Yeah, I am grit on the gridiron. Short answer. I am super concerned about a false flag right now. Briar Patch, hello. I will completely disagree with you. I will completely disagree with you that President Trump is an embarrassment to the U.S. Briar Patch, I will ask you this question. You know what? Here, let me do something fun here. There's the Restream link. If any of you guys want to jump in to today's show and give me your take, I would like to hear your take. Mostly civil. Keep it civil. Keep it concise and focused on the points that you want to make. We'll be taking calls right now. You just click the button, you go to the Restream app, and then you'll pop up on the side. It'll go bloop, and then I can go ahead and bring you into the show. You'll have a panel box, and you could explain why you think Trump is an embarrassment to the United States. I disagree. You know, I saw Barack Hussein Obama acting the part, dressing the part. When I'm reading a teleprompter, I can appear to be very thoughtful, compassionate, powerful, and trying to find a way to radically transform the United States of America in just 5 days. We're 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. I don't want someone that looks presidential or acts presidential and is very cool, calm, and collected kind of character. They said Barack. How did you learn to become so cool, calm, and collected? People said you can't do that. You didn't build that. You can't be cool, calm, and collected. And my response was, si se puede. Yes, we can. I mean, yes, I can. But you get what I mean. So no, Briar Patch, really. I don't think President Trump is an embarrassment to the United States. I think President Trump is a breath of fresh air to the United States. And it's nice to finally see somebody saying what we're all yelling at the television, what we're all yelling at our phone when we scroll across it, or we're scrolling on our laptop. Somebody's finally saying what needs to be said. And finally prioritizing this country instead of just throwing your money into a black hole, into a tornado, into a vat of quicksand. So Briar Patch, I put the link here. If you'd like to, you could type your comment if you had some additional. My question would be, can you elaborate on what is embarrassing to the United States when he's calling out Zelensky? He's acting real tough and he's barking very loud, and he's only doing it because we keep giving him the money. We're not giving him more money. So continuing to bark without our support is really unwise. It would be very wise to work on a peace deal, finish a peace deal, and just get this done. If self-preservation is not an instinct that you possess, the wolf If my help's not appreciated. Actually, what is that? Let me see if I can get this quote. I sort of have it. Where is the whole quote? I almost have it. Doggone it. Am I going to have to play it for you? I don't want to get copyright. Doggone it. It's right here. I think fast. I talk fast. I just want it typed out. I need the... sorry. I want to get this right because it's an important point. Okay, I'm going to ask Grok. I hate Google. Oh, they're a terrible search engine. Full quote. The Wolf. Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction. I'm sending the Wolf. Yeah, you heard me right. The Wolf is on his way. Oh, and he don't fuck around, so don't fuck around. No, I need the full quote. Guys, I think the juice will be worth the squeeze. Every line of dialogue from the Wolf in Pulp Fiction. Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Winston Wolf. I solve problems. Heard about your situation. Now we got about 40 minutes before Jimmy's wife comes home, and I prefer to be gone before she gets here. So let's get down to brass tacks. You're Jimmy, right? This your house? Now I'm going to take a look at the situation. You two, show me the car. That's a hell of a mess in there. All right, let's see. We got blood, brains. Looks like a damn Jackson Pollock painting. I never heard that line. I've watched that movie 100 times. I've never heard that line. Looks like a damn Jackson Pollock painting. That's a good line. You're lucky this ain't broad daylight. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Step one, we strip the car. You two, grab the seats, the carpets, anything with blood on it, get it out. Step two, we clean it. Jimmy, you got any bleach? Good. Bleach, soap, whatever you got. Scrub it down, inside, outside trunk. I want it spotless. Step three, we cover it. Jimmy, you got any old blankets, sheets? Perfect. Throw them over the seats when you're done. Now you, Vincent, is it? You're going to take a ride with me. Jules, you follow in my car. I drive fast, so keep up. Jimmy, this is some serious gourmet. This is some serious gourmet shit. Normally I'd be thrilled, but I'm in a bit of a hurry. Mind if I take it to go? It's funny because they all comment on how great the coffee is. Yeah, I know, because I'm the one that buys it. When Bonnie goes shopping, she buys shit. But I don't want shit. When I taste coffee, I want to drink it. When I drink my coffee, I want to taste it. All right. I drive fast, so keep up. All right, let's see. Not bad, gentlemen. Not bad at all. Looks like a car again. Now, about your clothes, you're going to need to change. Jimmy, you got anything they can borrow? Good. You two look like a couple of dorks now, but it'll do. All right, we're out of here. Jimmy, you're a prince. Pleasure doing business with you. Doggone it. Where is the other line? The Wolf dialogue. Self-preservation. Full quote. If my help isn't needed, doggone it. Pretty please. Doug, I can't seem to find it. It says it's something along the lines of if self-preservation is an instinct that you possess, then I recommend you do what I say when I say. I talk fast, I act fast. Let's get started. Something like that. That was not worth the squeeze. So no, I don't think Trump is an embarrassment to the United States. Bella's Chance, I hope later on you'll discuss Cash, Bondi, and the New York FBI subterfuge in withholding the Epstein materials. I'm still outraged and waiting for an FBI Department of Justice response. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I heard some optimism that the FBI just investigated the FBI and that they're bringing Comey's daughter down for covering this all up, that things are about to happen. So yes, I definitely want to get to that as well. Oh, I'm beyond furious. It's, you know, the fact that this information isn't out, it means that they're in on it. Our show yesterday was that is the FBI staging a coup against the United States, defying orders? I mean, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Piece of garbage criminals working against us. Yeah. So who would people trust to make the changes? Yeah. Karen Bass or Gavin Newsom, should they be trusted to do the rebuilding in California? No. So the people, yeah, who would you even trust to make the changes? Who would other people think? Yeah, who do other people think can do what Trump is doing? He had Rubio negotiate a deal that Zelensky backed out on and changed the terms of it in front of the media, like we were going to go along with it. Oh, you got me now. You sprung this on me. I guess that's what we're doing. Whoa, you're such a brilliant negotiator, comedian Vladimir Zelensky, while you're stealing and kidnapping and conscripting your humans, the citizens of your country. By the way, what happened to American journalist Gonzalo Lira? Anyway, let's just finish this exchange here.
I don't know if I think that we have to be very open and very honest, and I'm not sure that we did something bad. I think maybe sometimes some things we have to discuss out of media, with all respect to democracy and to free media. But there are things where we have to understand the position of Ukraine and Ukrainians. And I think that is the most important thing. Yes, we are partners. You know, we're very close.
We are partners. We don't have to be partners. We didn't want to be partners. Here's an interesting take about state of affairs. I like this comedic bit. By the way, I did find it, guys. I did find it. I had to go to IMDb. Google and Grok were just failing me. The Wolf says, Jimmy, lead the way. Boys, get to work. Vincent, a please would be nice. Come again? I said a please would be nice. The Wolf walks over. Get it straight, Buster. I'm not here to say please. I'm here to tell you what to do. And if self-preservation is an instinct that you possess, then you better fucking do it and do it quick. I'm here to help. If my help's not appreciated, then lots of luck, gentlemen. That is exactly what Trump is saying. If my help's not appreciated, then lots of luck, gentlemen. I could read that better. Get it straight, Buster. I'm not here to say please. I'm here to tell you what to do. And if self-preservation is an instinct that you possess, you better fucking do it and do it quick. I'm here to help. If my help's not appreciated, then lots of luck, gentlemen. No, Mr. Wolf, it ain't like that. Your help is definitely appreciated. Vincent, I don't mean any disrespect. I just don't like people barking orders at me. The Wolf. If I am curt with you, it's because time is a factor. I think fast, I talk fast, and I need you guys to act fast if you want to get out of this. So pretty please, with sugar on top, clean the fucking car. Such a great line. Great scene, great writing, great beats, great timing, great acting, great. It's great. And that was so much of the vibe that I was getting with Zelensky and Trump yesterday. Specifically, I'm here to help. If my help's not appreciated, then lots of luck, gentlemen. That part. I'm here to help. If my help's not appreciated, here, I'm going to put all of this in I'm going to copy and paste this into a quote. There it is. All right, so this comedian, what's his name? Akash Singh. He says, I don't even believe in white male privilege.
I don't even believe in white male privilege. People always say, name one thing a white male can't have. Okay, an opinion. Opinions are liberating. I literally get paid for mine. The second a white guy even starts to have one, the entire internet is like, your privilege is showing. I hate that, dude. Let a white guy express himself. Because if you don't, they bottle up all their feelings. And then they fester and get real dark. And then they walk into a voting booth every 4 years. And the rest of us are like, how the fuck did this happen? That's how! You didn't let them say anything. Then one guy showed up and said everything. And they were like, that's my guy!
That's a great bit. I love it. Some of you may know I've been doing stand-up now. I'm learning. I have been a broadcaster. Shit. I used to read the school announcements back in the day, whatever grade that was. Wrote for the school newspaper in elementary, high school, or whatever, and announced football games for my brother's team as a senior. I got up in the press box. That was fun. I've been in rock bands from high school into college and beyond. Like I said, doing 14 years of the New American Media. I'm very comfortable speaking, very comfortable talking, but I'm very used to talking off the cuff and just kind of rolling with what there is, kind of like crowd work. It's like, all right, hey, that's a nice hat you got there. You're a cowboy? You're for real cowboy, or you're one of the guys that gets the cool hat and just, you went as a cowboy once for Halloween, you like that look, so you keep it going. You're like just trying to work with what I have. I like to say I'm a gumbo bartender. I learned how to make gumbo from my dad. He'd open up the fridge. He's like, well, all right, what do we got? We got some rice from yesterday. We got some frozen okra. We can cook that. We have some leftover chicken and some leftover ground beef. Let's put all that together. How about we got frozen corn? Let's grab a bag of that. In the pantry, we got a can of potatoes, or we got potatoes in there. We'll slice some of those up, drop them in. We'll make a big stew. I'll make some gumbo out of this. You work with what you have and the ingredients that you got. And that's what I said is being a bartender. As a bartender, I would look around. Not every bar has every material. Not every bar has every liqueur, every ingredient necessary. But a gumbo bartender, you look at what you have and you make stuff based on what you got. And that's what I know how to do. Trying to like focus on trying to be funny and organized for 4 minutes and have a routine, learning a routine and delivering the routine. I've been working on it. I've delivered some of these jokes 4 times now, or 6 or 7 times. I'm starting to like learn them where like I could probably try it without notes next time. Maybe. I've been advised multiple times, put the notes down. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm not entirely certain where I'm going yet. Once I get an idea of where I'm going, yeah, I can put the notes down. I could ad lib and paraphrase. Right now, I'm sort of reading note cards off on Saturday Night Live, doing Weekend Update kind of style jokes. But I love the genre of stand-up, and that was a really nice. It's hard to take content like that and make it funny, but he made it funny. Gateway Pundit here reporting Secretary of State Marco Rubio has terminated U.S. support of Ukraine's power grid. From Trump, Vance, Rubio. Yeah, FAFO level 2. They should have freaking known better. Zelensky tries a bold new strategy of insulting the people he's begging for money from. Yeah, never again. They're never going to learn, are they? By the way, here's Joe Rogan defending RFK Jr. over stopping experiments. Let's take a listen. Not every story in the news is about Zelensky, although, like, it was the big story of the day. I mean, when we were wrapping up our show yesterday, we caught some of those highlights, and I was blown away by it. If you want to check out yesterday's show, scroll to the end when we cover this. It was like, I knew this was it's like, where were you when you heard the news that such and such? Where were you when you first saw what happened? I'm like, man, I scrolled across it right at the end of the day, and I couldn't wait to talk about it today.
Gaslighting and the propaganda is so obvious. And I saw the shrieking when RFK Jr. stopped this new test for new COVID vaccines on children. 10,000. They're going to do 10,000 people with this COVID vaccine. Like, who the fuck thinks that's a good thing at this point?
Not me.
What person? In what gas chamber? Like, not gaslight. You are fully unconscious.
Yeah.
There's no way if you know the effect of COVID today, no one's dying of it. This is not a pandemic anymore.
Right.
The idea that you're going to run a fucking huge test with 10,000 kids and a new vaccine, like, what are you even
It's completely
talking
unnecessary.
about? Totally unnecessary.
Yes.
And shrieking when RFK Jr. steps in to stop it.
You know, Joe Rogan, Trump, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, vitamin D, monoclonal antibodies. There's Z-Pack. There are all sorts of things that could have helped a lot of people. Instead of trying to get people to line up in drive-through windows to roll their arm, roll up the sleeve on their arm and get drive-through shots, how about you mail everybody vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc? That would have been a great use. But they weren't interested in that. They were interested in making money. And that's a damn shame. And this the lousy medical effort from Fauci's recommendations, you know, that directly played a role in killing my younger brother. And I'll never forget or forgive.
Yeah. That's totally crazy.
The gaslighting and the
never forgive. Actually, that's what I'm going to type. Never forgive. Never forget. All right, next. Yeah, check this out. NBC News. Zelensky. It's a pattern with Zelensky. This isn't about Trump or being embarrassed by Trump. Trump's an embarrassment, as one of our commenters said. I disagree completely. This is par for the course for Vladimir Zelensky.
Similar exchange with Zelensky. It said Biden has barely fit. Look at the title here. Biden lost his temper with Zelensky in June on a phone call when the Ukrainian leader was asking for more aid. Biden had barely finished telling Zelensky that he's just green-lighted another $1 billion for U.S. military assistance for Ukraine when Zelensky started listing all of the additional help that he needed and wasn't getting. Biden then lost his temper. The people familiar with the call said the American people were being quite generous, and his administration and the U.S. military were working hard to help.
This is someone who doesn't know how to quit when he's ahead. All he had to do was show up and eat his lunch and go home with what he'd asked for. He screwed it up. Some people don't know how to quit when they're ahead, and I've negotiated with people that no matter how equitable, how fair an arrangement could be, they would always agree to it and then try to squeeze a little bit more out of it. And when it happens once, you're like, I didn't like how that played out at all. When it happens more than one time and then becomes a trend, it becomes a situation where you don't want to deal with that person anymore. I'm thinking of somebody right now I'm not going to name.
And it goes on to say, then the president, Biden at the time, raised his voice, and Zelensky could have shown a little more gratitude towards the United States. So this is not the first time that Zelensky has pressured an American president, Patrick. Similar.
All right. So Zelensky, not Trump, Vance is actually the problem here. Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, look, we're talking about the Epstein list. We want the commenters wanted us to get to it. FBI investigation shows Epstein list shredded itself. Yeah, this is in the running for comedic post of the year. FBI investigation shows that Epstein list shredded itself. Man, that's funny. I mean, it's sad and it'll boil the blood, but FAFO. Deploy time. Elon says time to find out what really happened to the hundreds of billions of dollars sent to Ukraine. Agreed. It's on now. Truth Politica says Trump considering ending all military aid to Ukraine. Elon Musk Doge potentially to audit all aid sent to Ukraine. Bravo, Zelensky. You really done messed up now.
And
this is Boys to Men. And I'll take with me the memories to be the sunshine after the rain. It's so hard to say goodbye to a feeble old man that you were stealing billions of dollars from. Aww. Oh, come on, little boy. Let's go get you some more money. It's funnier with music. You can check it out on the New American Media Instagram feed. Here is Caroline Levitt with another MAGA Minute. Oh, doggone it. Where's the volume?
The White House, let's break it all down in the MAGA Minute. President Trump showed the world what American strength looks like when he stood up for the American people to President Zelensky during their meeting in the Oval Office. Massive corporations announced new investments and jobs in the United States. Following President Trump's 10% tariff on China, Apple announced it will spend more than $500 billion and hire 20,000 American workers over the next 4 years. Pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly announced an investment of $27 billion to build 4 new manufacturing plants in the United States. On the border, the administration has officially deported more than 50,000 illegal immigrants from our country, a 627% increase in monthly arrests under Joe Biden. Mexico also extradited 29 vicious and violent cartel criminals to the United States to face their long-awaited justice. And the president signed an executive order to make the prices of medical services more transparent, unlocking huge healthcare savings opportunities for you, the American people. And lastly, we took a historic step towards restoring your trust in the mainstream media.
I don't think you did.
By saying the White House Correspondents Association is no longer going to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office and fly on Air Force One. New media is traveling with the president, covering this president. It was a great week, and we'll see you next time for the MAGA Minute.
We've applied for the White House press credentials. Haven't heard a single thing back. We've tried 3 different times saying we definitely want to go be a part of the Fort Knox audit. All you did with the Epstein list was Pam Bondi gave binders of redacted information, nothing of value, to a photo op for like the same conservative Inc. crew, 5 or 10 people, to be what, gatekeepers for the rest of us? The file should have been digitized and put online. Like it should have just popped online so everybody could access it. But I will say it is so nice having an American president in office again. This Biden mess with Obama, Jared, his puppet masters, that chaos almost destroyed us. First of all, this is so good. A recap of Zelensky visiting the White House.
I needed someone to
shut your
work
mouth. Shut your mouth.
Jump into shut your mouth.
I think we've had enough.
Shush up for
here.
1 second.
Yeah, shush up for 1 second, Zelensky. Just shush. I'm gonna need you to shush up.
Shut your mouth.
I needed
Yeah, shut your mouth.
someone to
Shut your
work
mouth.
this.
I need you to shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Shut your mouth.
What did
You're
you
just
just
coming
say?
off stupid.
First of
Yeah,
all, I needed
it's so funny. Funny but true. From Step Brothers, I think that is. Here's something that just happened as well. According to Donald Trump, the Department of Justice has just returned the boxes that deranged Jack Smith made such a big deal about. They're being brought down to Florida and will someday be a part of the Trump Presidential Library. Justice finally won out. I did absolutely nothing wrong. This was merely an attack on a political opponent that obviously did not work well. Justice in our country will now be restored. Bravo. Happy to hear it. And people are fed up with Ukraine now. Just absolutely done with it.
Free single year.
Real John Kiriakou.
For decades, the United Nations has ranked Ukraine as one of the most corrupt governments on the planet.
They used to report it in the New York Times, too.
Yeah, they used to, until it wasn't politically correct,
That's
I
right.
guess. If we're sending 40 billion this time, 8 billion that time, 500 million the next time, another 15 billion the next time, where the heck is that money going? Now, it's one thing when the Pentagon says, look, when we say we're sending this money, we're not actually sending cash. We're sending it in kind. So we take $40 billion, we give it to Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin, and then they send weapons, weapon systems, planes, whatever. They're taking the weapons and selling them on the black market and just pocketing the money. You know, it's like in Goodfellas. You buy a case of liquor for
Goes right out the back door.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you, as an American who really does not have a dog in this fight, I resent my taxpayer money just being squandered like that. When we've got bridges here that are falling into the rivers beneath them, we've got some of the worst roads in the Western world. How come the Chinese can afford all this stuff and we can't? How come the Chinese have a bullet train that goes 300 miles an hour and we don't? We haven't replaced our rails since the Civil War. Did you know that? We spend more on the military than the next 8 largest countries combined. That's not cool.
The fact that Zelensky thinks that this is his decision to make is fucking insane because my money bought something.
Zelensky is just the puppet. He thinks he's the puppet master. Like, he doesn't understand his role in all this. It's going to be his downfall. I think he's gone in less than 3 weeks. If he makes a massive capitulation tour, a big apology tour like Obama going around the world apologizing for America, if Zelensky comes to his senses, fine. But if he doesn't, I don't think he's in office for three weeks, one way or another. I just don't see him lasting. I don't know how he possibly could. He doesn't understand what his role is in all this.
And it bought our right to make the fucking decision.
100%. You are right. We should get a say. You know, I made kind
Get
of
a say. We need to make call
the
shot.
decision.
And we are seeing reports that President Trump is no longer interested in reviving the Ukraine minerals deal, following Zelensky's disrespect aimed toward the United States. We'll see how it plays out. Not entirely certain what that's going to look like. But that's some of the stories that I'm hearing. Not entirely sure if it's accurate or not, but that is what we're hearing. Benny is saying, look, he did.
Last thing, Mr. President. Yeah. Do you think your relationship with Donald Trump, President Trump, after today, can be salvaged?
Can be.
I wonder. I want to know, can somebody, I thought this when I watched it the first time, and I'm going to articulate it now. Can somebody do an analysis of what his handler, his puppet master, his local puppet master, is telling him to say? He speaks broken English fine. He's perfectly capable of speaking broken English. So what is this guy asking him to do? I think he's being told, don't leave here without saying I'm sorry.
Yes, of course, because it's relations more than two presidents. It's the historical relations.
Bro, we don't give a shit about historical relations. I don't care that we've been doing the wrong thing for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It doesn't matter to me. If you're on the wrong path, every day is a good day to try a new path. If you're on the wrong path, every day is a good day to get off that path.
Strong relations between our people. And that's why I always began with to thank your people from our people.
Once again, don't thank our people. We would have never sent you this. Obama, Biden broke it. Obama, Biden funded it. Trump is trying to stop it. You got to read the room, buddy.
And this is the most important. And of course, thankful to President and of course to Congress, but first of all to your people. Your people helped to save our.
Please get rid of that, your people. We would have never written you a check for this. We would have never done it.
Our people. People, the first. Human rights, the first. This is very, very important. And we are thankful and sorry for this. I mean, we wanted very much to have only strong relations, and I very count that we will have it.
Last thing, Mr. President.
Man, it was difficult for him to just finally blurt out, sorry. The ego of this dude will be his downfall. Yeah, he did. He waited till the very last second to say sorry. Here's a look at NATO defense spending. Look at that. What's the highest over here? 68 billion from Germany. Well, we're more than 10 times that at 860. Enough. Enough already. Americans demand that we spend our resources on America for once. Look at that. Look at that graph. We done. We're done being your credit card. Caroline Levitt nails it as Trump dominates Zelensky in a heated exchange.
Well, the president enjoyed the lunch. He figuratively and literally ate President Zelensky's lunch today. But it was his decision. He felt as though President Zelensky was not in a place to negotiate peace at this point in time. Well, the president enjoyed the
that is a
lunch. He figuratively and literally ate President Zelensky's lunch today.
That's a great line. Yeah, we'll just watch her.
But I said to you, I want to see fire because you get a ceasefire faster than any
good Lord. Yeah, someone pour her a double shot of whiskey. She said, oh man, I'd like to be anywhere but here. Want to get away? Scott Bessent on Ukraine. Let's take a listen to how we got where we got.
We're having a press conference, we were going into lunch, and then we were going to sign the Economic Partnership Agreement. This was supposed to be a day where Ukraine and the U.S. intertwined our economic prospects, and instead, President Zelensky, and I think he's probably used to dealing with American leadership that is weak, and he ran into President Trump, and who didn't back down, Vice President Vance, who didn't back down. They were asked to leave the room, then they had to be asked to leave the building, and they were texting everyone, begging to come back out and sign the economic partnership. And I tell you, it's impossible to have an economic partnership for someone who doesn't want to be your partners in peace. We were...
There you go. Yeah, this is another report, Raging West. Ukrainian MP Alexander Dubinsky demanding an emergency session of Ukraine's parliament to initiate impeachment of Zelensky. We're just going to follow these reports. I don't know if this is confirmed or what's happened. Corey Yeshua put this out. Let's take a listen here. The Ukrainian MP is addressing President Trump and claiming that he's been in prison for 15 months after exposing corruption involving the Biden family.
Trump
My name is Oleksandr Dubinsky, and I am a member of the Parliament of Ukraine. However, for the past 15 months, I have been unlawfully imprisoned on fabricated charges. My alleged crime was exposing corruption involving the Biden family. I was the first one who exposed this information in 2019.
By the way, it was Trump talking about the Biden crime family that got him impeached. These deep state operatives think that they run everything all the time, everywhere. And the sad thing is, if they were good at their jobs and it wasn't running us $36 trillion in debt into the poorhouse, I bet they could get away with a lot of things. But we're not going to sit here and let the Biden crime family run roughshod over everybody, because they're going over us. They're stealing from us. And they're not delivering any result that's positive in any way for us. So it doesn't work.
And I was labeled Russian agent for that. Today,
they labeled Trump a Russian agent because that's their playbook.
Hundreds of people in Ukraine are incarcerated not for any legitimate offense, but solely for their political beliefs. Their only guilt lies in speaking the truth, opposing Zelensky's administration, and calling for an end to the war. These individuals are subjected to arbitrary arrests, torture, and politically motivated charges of treason, with judicial proceedings predetermined to serve political interests. Under Zelensky's leadership, Ukraine has dismantled independent courts, weaponized law enforcement institutions, and eliminated fundamental democratic processes. There are no free elections, no independent media, and no right to a fair legal defense. Instead, a climate of fear and repression prevails. Furthermore, during Zelensky's tenure, secret detention facilities operated by the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, have emerged. These sites have been used for the illegal detention, coercion, and torture of individuals to extract forced confessions.
What happened to Gonzalo Lira, the American journalist that Ukraine killed?
The United Nations has documented the existence of at least one such illegal prison in Kiev, right in the headquarters of SBU, where since March 2022, approximately 300 individuals, including US citizens, have been held. Among them was American journalist Gonzalo Lira, who was unlawfully detained by SBU officers, held under inhumane conditions, and later died in December 2023, following beatings and extortion while imprisoned in the Kharkiv detention center. I have personally been subjected to physical assaults and torture on 2 occasions in prison in an attempt to coerce me into falsely confessing to alleged connections with Russian intelligence and to admitting that my 2019 expose of the corruption of the Biden family were part of a Russian intelligence operation. The true objective was to fabricate a false narrative linking your campaign, Mr. Trump, to Russia in an effort to conceal the origins of this operation.
Why wouldn't President Trump and J.D. Vance be against this? President Trump called it out. He's like, you guys have linked me to Putin. You've wrapped him up in all of this stuff, trying to blame him for things that aren't happening, trying to besmirch our reputations for political power. You've been lying about us and framing us for a long time. We're sick of it. Yeah, we're sick of it. We're all sick of it.
These allegations were deliberately manufactured in Ukraine, intended to justify the failed 51 intelligence officials' letter and extend this false narrative into 2024. Ukraine has effectively been transformed into an instrument of political repression and external interference. President Zelensky and his administration act in the interests of globalist elites, Soros-affiliated NGOs, and USAID-funded NGOs and media, systematically dismantling democracy in Ukraine and suppressing political dissent. Nevertheless, I remain steadfast in my commitment to justice and democracy. Despite my imprisonment, I have filed a lawsuit with the Supreme Court of Ukraine, demanding the restoration of constitutional order through the scheduling of presidential elections. As a Ukrainian citizen, I have also officially declared my candidacy for the presidency. I am prepared to run as a candidate from the Party of Peace and fully support your vision for ending the war. Ukraine urgently requires a pathway to peace. Mr. Trump, I appeal to you as a leader who has consistently defended the principles of democracy and justice. I am providing a list of political prisoners, though this is only a fraction of those who have been unlawfully detained. I respectfully urge you to take all necessary measures to secure the release of these individuals, as well as all other victims of political persecution. Their plight.
Yeah, I mean, look, like when J.D. Vance talked to the leaders in Europe, and it's like, I don't care about our historical partnerships. If you're not defending free speech and you're going after Americans in your country and you're trying to demonize sharing a meme and having an opinion, we're not partners now. I don't care what we've done in the past. If you don't share our values, what do we have to be partners on? What, we're fighting for democracy in Ukraine? Zelensky suspended elections, throws this guy in jail, kills Gonzalo Lira, stealing all these people, conscripting them, kidnapping them, throwing them into trucks to go die on the front lines of something that never needed to happen. That's the democracy you're supposed to fund?
Represents a critical test of the principles of freedom and human rights. They should be free.
All right, so that's the person. There's a list of journalists, businessmen, and officials killed, kidnapped, or tortured. All right, well, there's a whole bunch of names going to be added there. You can watch it. Okay, so this isn't just about Zelensky. It's about the whole... Zelensky's a huge Jenga piece that might bring the whole system down.
I've been on air 31 years, and I've never seen anything close to this. This is total authenticity. President Trump, Vice President Vance, with Zelensky, that lying globalist rat. The fall of Zelensky isn't just the fall of some globalist dictator. It's the fall of their lies, the fall of their hoax, the spell dissipating, the fact that NATO started this war and then tried to sell us the fact they didn't when Victoria Nuland and John McCain and Lindsey Graham all bragged about it. But now Lindsey Graham said, oh, Zelensky's gone. He's got to step down. No one can take him back now.
Rubio, Zelensky, Vance, and Trump all on the same page. What's happening?
They're rejecting their own minion because now he has no use for him anymore. I'm predicting within 2 weeks Zelensky's gone, but the fall of Zelensky is a harbinger of the fall of the entire globalist system. But the next few days and weeks is the most dangerous time when they may set off a nuke, blame it on Iran or Russia, false flag in Europe or here. That's what Zelensky said, oh, you're not in trouble yet, but you do this, you get hit, you soon be in pain. Trump's been briefed, they're planning a false flag. I said it first a year ago. Russia's been warning. And that's what, when Trump heard that, he was like, whoa, everything Jones told me is true. Damn right. When am I wrong? This is all I do. But the good news is the FBI raided the FBI yesterday. They caught James Comey's daughter that ran the cover-up of the pedophile rings, Jeffrey Epstein, with the documents. It's going down. This is a real revolution. 1776, part 2. So it doesn't get any better than this. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central, 12 noon Eastern. Myself, Chase Geiser, and others out of the Alex Jones Network at 8.
All right, so go check that out if you want. But it really does feel like something has changed. And the proof will be, there's your update. You were asking about the Ghislaine Maxwell files and the Epstein files and Pam Bondi. We'll see. We'll see what the FBI was able to gather. Let's see what they have. Let's see how it shakes out. They said the Epstein files part 1. They knew there would be more than one part, and they knew that part 1 was going to be disappointing. There really wasn't going to be anything in there. Don't we have this information anyway? Doesn't the NSA have it? Isn't it in duplicate? Don't we have people on the inside? It's like you need people to liberate these alphabet agencies that have been overthrown in a coup. That's where we're at. This is a revolutionary time where we're battling to get our government back from the corruptocrats that stole it. When did they steal it? I don't know. Was it 2020 when they installed Biden? Was it 2008 when they were able to put Barack Hussein Obama in? Was it 1963 when they killed Kennedy? Was it 1913 with the Federal Reserve? I don't know. But this is like maybe the best and only chance we've had to get our nation on track. And it's got to be all systems go at this point. Full speed ahead.
I don't know if he...
Here's Scott Jennings on CNN talking about Zelensky's huge strikeout.
He needs an apology. He needs Zelensky to recognize the position that he's in.
Which to you is what?
We're their patron. We're their best hope for the killing to stop and for them to emerge from this sovereign and prosperous. And we're also their best hope as a business partner. I mean, all Zelensky had to do today was put on a tie, show up, smile, say thank you, sign the papers, and have lunch. That's it. And he couldn't do that. And this followed 10 days of being difficult in private and now 1 day of being stupid in public.
But on one point, I want to...
This did not have to go down this way.
Okay.
And however you feel about why it started, why it's going on, who's right and who's wrong, we can help them in this and come out okay on the other side, and he's making it hard.
Now, first of all,
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I actually agree with Scott. And everything that he said was basically right.
Wow.
I know, I'm going to get killed on social media for admitting that, but so be it. And the fact is that it doesn't matter whether Vice President Vance planned it or just took the opportunity to bait Zelensky. Zelensky took the bait, okay?
Yeah.
And,
you know, he took bait, or he's calling out some stuff that needs to be called out. Some of these things need to be said. You know, you can only bite your tongue for so long, and it's like, well, no, hold on. I'm harboring a resentment here. I've got some lingering resentment because reasons. I think you got to talk about that stuff. You got to be honest about it.
he shouldn't have. He made a mistake.
I don't know if he...
Oh, Zelensky made a mistake. That's for damn sure. And he made a mistake by listening to the wrong people. So now here's the Logan Act. Do we have non-government representatives trying to influence our government right now? And it sure as hell sounds like the deep state was really pumping Zelensky full of weird stuff right before this meeting so that he came in and really screwed the meeting over. He tanked it. He tanked it worse than Fox tanked their own Dominion lawsuit case.
Trump wants to bring peace to the world, and here he wants peace and prosperity. And Zelensky has the gall. Zelensky has the gall to show up to the White House, and he's going to sit there, and here's why it happened. He went to the Hay Adams Hotel right before, and all these rhino senators, right, all these rhino senators had a meeting with him, had a breakfast with him, and he thinks he's got cards. He thinks he can control it, right? He goes into Trump, and he's arrogant as all get out, and Trump says, yo, dude, you have no cards, right? You have no cards. Without our money and our troops, hell, for the first time in our history, the first time, we had the President of France and we had the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom within 72 hours of each other. And what are they doing? They're behind closed doors and they're talking about, you know, oh, we want to put up troops, we're going to put up money. They have put up no money and they've put up no troops, and they're not going to. They want an American security guarantee and they want American money. We don't have the money and we don't have the troops, and we have no interest in Ukraine and two Slavic entities going at each other. We have what we're concerned about is the southern border of the state of Texas. Hell, they got the CIA now. All the assets are coming back for Ukraine. They're doing flights over Mexico. President Trump's getting ready for. He's trying to stop the kinetic part of the Third World War that's happening in the Eurasian landmass, right, in the Middle East and in Ukraine. But he's getting ready to start the kinetic part of the war against the cartels. They know that, right? We got to cut off their banking. We got to cut off their finance. We got to get down there. We got to do a paramilitary operation. We got to tell Mexico, step aside, because we're going to take them all out. We're going to take them out now. President Trump wants to bring peace to the world, and here he wants peace and prosperity. And Zelensky has the gall.
There you go. Had the gall. Bad advice. Here's me, me asking my grandma to stop at McDonald's with Joe Biden. Oh, okay, sweetie. Me asking my mom to stop at McDonald's. All right, no. We've had enough. We got food at home. That's such a good one, shared by the Daily Wire. Ben Swan again about Ukraine. Now, remember, Ben Swan did work with Russia today. So, you know, full disclosure. But do you agree or disagree with his perspective?
Strongly do you support this ongoing war in Ukraine? Now, before you answer, look at these videos that show you time and time again Ukrainian military officers stopping men of various ages, asking them for their papers, and then dragging them away to forcibly serve in the war against Russia. These men are being arrested, tackled, and literally dragged away so that they can be forced into military service. Yes, this disturbing video comes as the BBC investigation revealed that Ukraine's conscription officers are hunting down men who have not registered for the newly expanded draft. The law requires men 25 to 60 be registered and go to war. If you haven't read this story, you really should check it out. The BBC usually cheers Ukraine on, But its latest investigation paints the picture of an Orwellian dystopia, mobilization squads, they say, roaming the streets, stopping random men to check if they're enlisted. Mobilization squads have also been spotted pulling men off public transportation, dragging them to enlistment centers. The story shows that men in Ukraine are terrified and seem unwilling to die for a war that's been dubbed a meat grinder. So far, the U.S. has sent over $100 billion in aid to Ukraine, but imagine if this were happening here. Men.
By the way, because they're using generic background music, this content will get flagged for copyright. I'm here to cover the story that's being told. If there's music and that music is probably royalty-free music. That's probably why they're using it. That's usually why it happens, but it still pops on their algorithm anyway. They'll say copyright content, and then they'll say they'll take this entire show and say, well, we're going to ban it in certain countries, or we're going to limit the reach. They'll say, oh, it doesn't impact your channel. Yeah, they just take the message away. I mean, I guess I could have just played it without sound. Men dragged off public transportation in the United States. Oh, that's the beginning of this. So I guess we saw the whole thing. Here we go. This is what we were talking about with the Epstein files. Painted Treasures by Chelsea says, so we didn't get the Epstein files this week, but we are getting to watch the fall of Zelensky in real time and some badass America First leadership. That's true. There you go. Dubinsky demanding emergency session of Parliament to impeach Zelensky. There's his video. Secretary Marco Rubio, according to Nick Sortor, terminated U.S. support for Ukraine energy grid restoration after Zelensky disrespected the United States in the Oval Office. FAFO Zelensky. Where's the... Okay, here we go.
Diplomacy. The way that President Trump and J.D. Vance stood up for American interests in the world stage, the way that President Trump defended Americans after years of being fleeced and abused and taken advantage of and taken for granted, millions of American hearts swelled with overflowing pride today to watch President Trump put Zelensky in his place. The only reason that Zelensky has a country, that Zelensky is in power, is because of the United States. Americans have suffered economically, funding this war now for years. American security has been degraded, our stockpiles depleted, our ability to project power in other regions of the world negatively affected to protect and defend Ukraine. Americans probably don't even know the true extent of just how much military support. This is one of the great moments in the history of American diplomacy.
It really is. It really is. J.D. Vance, do you think that's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country? I think it's safe to say that J.D. Vance was the perfect choice for vice president. Agree or disagree with that? Dinesh said Trump ended today's meeting with Zelensky. He didn't want to be suckered into a bad deal. If you remember, Reagan walked out on Gorbachev, and for the same reason. Later, Gorbachev came around, and Zelensky will too. Our best presidents put America's interests first. Rudy Giuliani says, no one knows more about the corruption in Ukraine than me. I'm so proud of my friend, President Donald Trump, for standing up for the American people and taking a stand against corruption and greed. The killing must stop. Zelensky can come back when he's ready to talk peace. Yep, Elon, time to find out what really happened to those hundreds of billions of dollars.
Thing, Mr. President.
Ukraine.
Do you think your relationship with Donald Trump...
Anyway, we played that already. He eventually said he's sorry, sort of. And there's the McDonald's meme. It's pretty doggone funny. This is Trump and Vance after meeting with Zelensky.
Look, I'm really sorry about that. I just,
I wonder if JD was like, Mr. President, I'm sorry if I caused the whole thing back there, but...
I saw how aggressive you were being, and I thought, wow, I got to go even bigger than that since
I got to go even bigger than that.
We're doing bad cop, bad cop. Why?
We're doing bad cop, bad cop.
No, I said good cop, bad cop.
I said good cop, bad cop.
I'm the bad cop, you're the good cop. I
liked it. I loved the dynamic. I love that there were 2 on 1. Not that Trump ever needs somebody else there. But that really was, look, Joe Biden said, he didn't say, I'm going to pick the most qualified person to be my vice president. And then he went on the search. He said, I'm going to pick a woman of color. I guess white's not a color. And he got Kamala Harris. And what did they do? They hid her. Of course they hid her. She is a disaster. They named her border czar. Maybe for plausible deniability and to blame all the problems there's not problems at the border. That was the plan at the border. Biden bragged about America. What did he say? The white people are going to be the minority, and that's a good thing. With him and Mayorkas, I don't know what color has to do with anything. You want the best of the best. It doesn't matter where they're from. But yeah, Kamala Harris, they hid her. And J.D. Vance, he went to Europe and told them to their face, like, look, you want to try to have partnerships, then you need to restore First Amendment, like freedom of speech. If you're jailing people and threatening us for memes and going through our content and trying to say, oh, we have harmful words. Like, yeah, the words are words, and words are allowed in America. So if we're going to be partners, you better respect that. That's our culture. J.D. Vance, like, they brought him in to sit with Zelensky, and he didn't hold up. He couldn't hold up. Had they ended it one question earlier, maybe whatever, but Vance had enough. He had enough of watching the body language, listening to what he was saying, changing the terms, backing out of the agreement.
Okay, then there it is. That's it. I thought you said bad cop, bad cop.
There it is. I thought you said bad cop, bad cop. That's so good. All right. That concludes our portion on Instagram. Let's bounce over to our X feed and roll through what's going on. I-40 is opened after Hurricane Helene. That's fantastic. God, that's been months and months and months. John Bolton. There you go. Clayton Morris. That's the take I was looking for. You know you're over the target when warmonger, war criminal John Bolton is criticizing you. John Bolton is calling for Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz to resign over their handling of Zelensky during today's Oval Office meeting. That's hilarious. John Bolton is such garbage. House Republicans plan to erase Black Lives Matter Plaza. Yeah, what even is this? Just stop. Enough already. That's incredibly divisive. Literally cleaning wokeness off the streets. Maine is having a march for women's sports, a stand against transgender inclusion. Okay. A march against Governor Mills. Good. Protect the women. I appreciate that. Let's get one about Hurricane Helene. The I-40 highway.
The main washout and the 2 lanes, one going each way. You can see down in the river gorge.
It washed away.
Wow. It was gone.
It's been closed for 5 months. It officially reopened. Department of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy allowed rock to be pulled from the river so that they could rebuild 3 times faster and cheaper. Well, yeah, wouldn't you?
It was gone.
Everywhere you build with the local resources. That's what you do.
Now we're going to
You do it safely. You do it in a way that you don't cut corners, but yeah.
get back to where we have a little more road in under us, but we're still just 1 lane each way. It's the way it is right here, going through Irwin right now, and it flows just fine. There's no problem getting through there. I've been through it several times.
Good for them. Bravo. Good job, President Trump and Sean Duffy. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's tear through our profile here. On X, follow us at American_media_. How do you like our graphic for today? I thought it was pretty good. This business owner saying that the bank refused to allow her to close her business account. Wall Street Apes reporting this. Kind of weird. Keep your eyes peeled for weird bank stuff. It feels even worse than being interrogated every time you try and withdraw money out of your account. It's getting ridiculous. These are allegedly videos. This says J.D. Vance confronted Zelensky on the forceful mobilization. This is what he means. You got a mother and you got the son being kidnapped. Imagine the terror of being kidnapped to go get tossed into a meat grinder. That's gross. Okay, I don't want music, so we don't get... check out yesterday's show. Name the most frequent Epstein Island visitors. Yeah, Gene Hackman, partially mummified. He had been there for 9 days. The door was open. One dog was alive. One dog was not. It's a strange story. Then here's our TNAM AM show. FBI staging a coup against America by hiding the Epstein files. And should English be listed as the national language? I saw the reports, but I didn't see that Trump had actually signed it. I hope this wasn't one of those cases where we heard Elon bought commercials for Doge, and we're going to see it during the Super Bowl, and then it never happened. Those reports were circulated widely yesterday, but I didn't see any update. Here is Georgescu standing today in front of a massive army of supporters who came to demand their country back. Romania is fighting for its future. Are the globalists going to win, or is Georgescu going to be the president? It sounds like there's only one option here. You need to go Georgescu. The craziest, Dave Benner here says, the craziest part of today's exchange between Trump, Vance, and Zelensky is the extent to which Zelensky appears to have shot himself in the foot. The first 3/4 of the conversation was relatively calm, and only the last 5 minutes have been widely publicized on social media. After a long, calm conversation, Zelensky was about 5 minutes from solidifying a deal that would have continued U.S. military support for Ukraine, barf, in exchange for mineral rights. The arrangement was within seconds of being finalized. But then Zelensky insisted that beyond the terms of the deal, that Russia must also pay for the war, a total impossibility. After overplaying his hand, Vance criticized Biden, not Zelensky, for making mistakes regarding Russian diplomacy. At that point, Zelensky interjected, and the spat that we saw on video commenced. Trump was 100% right to say that Zelensky doesn't have the cards and that he was risking millions of lives in nuclear war by rejecting peace overtures. I believe Zelensky will be harmed immeasurably by this exchange, not only in the U.S., but in Ukraine. He was dismissed from the White House without a deal, and even some of the fiercest supporters of Ukraine have abandoned his cause. When even Lindsey Graham, one of the most blood-soaked pro-Ukraine monsters in Congress, says that the U.S. can't do business with Zelensky anymore, you know the game's over. Here's hoping that Zelensky's career is forever ruined, that the U.S. withdraws all financial support for Ukraine, and that a peace deal is coming soon. Ukraine first is America last. And he says he shot himself in his foot hard. He was home free with the New Deal if he could have only resisted mouthing off for a couple more minutes. Clint Russell here, who was a guest on our show. You can find our chat with him. He's got a good brain. He brings good perspectives to the table. I like reading his stuff and listening to him talk and talking with him. Met him following the Libertarian Convention. Check those out on Rumble and YouTube if you scroll back a couple months. He says, I don't think there has ever been a more visceral and public shift in diplomacy on foreign policy in my lifetime. Maybe ever. For a century, foreign leaders would land in D.C., get treated like royalty despite their massive sense of entitlement, and then leave with a Brinks truck. Zero sense of appreciation for the immense resources that the American taxpayer was forced to provide them. Zelensky, clearly high out of his mind, decided to negotiate in front of the media. He expected that the new boss was the same as the old. Insult, demand, threaten, and prepare to be handed another check. Big mistake. Trump's approach was remarkable. You don't have the cards. He says, I've empowered you to act like a tough guy, but once we're out, you won't be so tough. You'll either make a deal or we're out. And once we're out, you'll fight it out. This is the difference between Trump and every other president. He's not some lifelong politician. He's a businessman, and he knows who has the leverage and who doesn't. You don't have the cards. That one line will echo through the halls of D.C. and through the souls of every foreign leader. The U.S. is no longer the world's bank. If it's not to our benefit, then the deal is off. And before you ask, is this what you voted for? Yes. Yes, it is. Well said. Marco Rubio, let's hear what he had to say about this.
But what specifically do you want to see President Zelensky apologize for?
Well, apologize for turning this thing into the fiasco for him that it became. There was no need for him to go in there and become antagonistic. Look, this thing went off the rails. You were there, I believe. It went off the rails when he said, let me ask you a question to the vice president. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about? Well, this is a serious thing. I mean, thousands of people have been killed, thousands. And he talks about all these horrible things that have happened to prisoners of war and children, all true, all bad. This is what we're dealing with here. It needs to come to an end. We are trying to bring it to an end. The way you bring it to an end is you get Russia to the table to talk. And he understands that attacking Putin, no matter how anyone may feel about him personally, forcing the president into a position where you're trying to goad him into attacking Putin, calling him names, maximalist demands about Russia having to pay for the reconstruction, all the sorts of things that you talk about in a negotiation. Well, when you start talking about that aggressively, and the president's a deal maker, he's made deals his entire life, you're not going to get people to the table. And so you start to perceive that maybe Zelensky doesn't want a peace deal. He says he does, but maybe he doesn't. And that active, open undermining of efforts to bring about peace is deeply frustrating for everyone who's been involved in communications with them leading up to today. And I think we should apologize for wasting our time for a meeting that was going to end the way it did.
But what's specific?
He wasted our time. ICE confirms a Haitian man charged with stabbing 3 people to death in Fayetteville, North Carolina, flew into the U.S. because of Biden's controversial CHNV migrant flights program. Guy doesn't speak English, and he killed 3 people. These are not the people we need in our country. You need to vet people. They need to speak our language. They need to appreciate our customs, our traditions, and become a part of it. Yeah. Once again, 3 times. Well, let's actually hear this report. This is pretty cool.
I'm standing in the middle of Interstate 40 near the Tennessee state line. Since Helene, this portion of the interstate has been closed to all traffic. Come this weekend, this eastbound lane and that westbound lane will be reopened once again. Speed limits through the Pigeon River Gorge will be limited to 35 miles per hour when I-40 reopens. But the damage Helene left behind is visible just off to the side.
This is a route that we're concerned about opening. We want it to be open for the economy of North Carolina, but we do not encourage drivers to come through here just to sightsee.
The single lanes start just after the tunnel near mile marker 4 in North Carolina and end at the Tennessee Welcome Center.
There will be no oversized, overweight loads allowed through this roadway at all, but standard side tractor trailers will be allowed to pass through here.
So far, NCDOT says it has spent between $12 to $15 million on emergency repairs. They say the interstate is still an active work zone for a permanent fix.
Our best people are working daily on this project. We would not open this road if we did not feel confident that it was safe for people to travel it.
Emergency lanes are also included for first responders to respond to possible incidents.
You have that 12-foot emergency travel lane, and periodically through this entire 4-mile stretch, you have breaks in that center concrete barrier.
Engineers called the partial reopening a great accomplishment, not only to reconnect Western North Carolina, but for the state's economy.
There's millions of dollars a day of goods that are transported through this route, so that revenue is essentially lost when the road is closed, and we've been closed for months now.
NCDOT officials say that they expect the roadways to reopen sometime Saturday morning, but they do say if you are traveling, to prepare for delay.
All right, well, that's pretty cool. People are asking, Well, I could play this, but you could check it out. People are wondering, why does Susan Rice have all this information about the terms of the minerals deal? It sure sounds like she's been talking to foreign leaders behind Trump's back. Check out that video here from Peachy Keenan. European governments disarmed their citizens last century, and now European governments are arresting their citizens over social media posts and memes. Yeah, and how are they defining free speech? Keir Starmer, I'm proud of the free speech we have in the UK. Also the UK. I've got 2 policemen at my house interrogating me over a conversation on Facebook. Malicious communications is something posted on an open forum that is deemed to be offensive. I need to interview you over an allegation of something you put on Facebook. It's a racist matter and malicious communications. Good God. Hey, remember when the liberal elites of Martha's Vineyard called the military to deport 50 illegal aliens within 48 hours? Don't ever let the Democrats tell you they're against mass deportations. Okay, remember that? Yeah, Kylie Kremer says, excuse me, but who needs to be notified to arrest Susan Rice? She was just on MSNBC and knew too many details about the negotiations with Zelensky and was on prep calls with him prior to the meeting. She told Zelensky to be tough and push back. Isn't that illegal? Kylie Kremer says, Susan Rice needs to be investigated for acting as a foreign agent to undermine America, violating the Logan Act. Here's her interview from MSNBC today about President Trump and VP Vance's meeting with Zelensky. It's also being reported Susan Rice, along with Anthony Blinken, Victoria Nuland, and Alexander Vindman, advised Zelensky to stand tall in his meeting with Trump. If true, they are all acting as foreign agents violating the Logan Act. All right. Yeah, she's terrible. And she's behind a lot of this. Wall Street Mab says AG Bondi is fighting a leftist culture within the Department of Justice and FBI. Give her a chance. She is not hiding anything. She's not covering up Epstein. She wants the info released. She knows her reputation is on the line. She needs to drop the hammer on FBI agents who are resisting. Fine, but Pam Bondi needed to digitize that information and release it on a website so all of us could access it, not just give it in binders to conservative Inc. members. That was a failure on her part. Joy Behar forced to walk this back. Check this out.
Musk was pro-apartheid. I don't really know for sure if he was. He grew up at that time when apartheid was in full bloom before the great Nelson Mandela fixed that. He was around at that time, but maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. He might have been a young guy, too. Might have been. So don't be suing me, okay, Elon? They're allowed to say any lie they want, but we have to be really strict. That's why this show's important.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, that's hilarious. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Don't be suing me. Okay. I didn't know if he was or wasn't. Okay. So we found $3 trillion in the 20 largest federal agencies in improper payments since 2004. Imagine how high that number would be if everything they didn't admit was included. Now consider there's another 430 federal agencies not included. And literally no one knows the exact number of how many agencies. That's nuts. Don't listen to Democrats when they screech that there's absolutely nothing to cut. There's a massive amount of government to cut and plenty that can be made more efficient. If they say otherwise, they just hate the working class. Viktor Orban released a statement after President Trump meeting Zelensky. Strong men make peace. Weak men make war. Weak men make war. Today, President Trump stood bravely for peace, even if it was difficult for many to digest. Thank you, Mr. President. If you think Trump was the angry one, you've clearly never met a Cuban American and experienced this stare. Yeah, Rubio feels very betrayed. Zelensky saying on Fox that he won't negotiate an end to the war without security guarantees from the United States, and then admits that he doesn't have enough weapons to push Russia out of Ukraine, and then demands more money from the U.S. I have not liked this guy for a long time. So done with him. Yeah, that was great. We already covered this one. All he had to do was shut up, smile, say thank you, sign the papers, and have lunch, and he couldn't even do that. Here's the whole video, 42 minutes worth. You should watch it. It's on our X feed at American_media_. Emerald Robinson reminding us that the FBI has Seth Rich's laptop, Huma Abedin's laptop, Hunter Biden's laptop, Jeffrey Epstein's videotapes. And they hid all these items from the public. Yeah, Ashley Biden's diary. America is a banana republic where the secret police exist to protect the state. Here you go, Governor Shapiro. We won't forget when you campaigned with Zelensky in Pennsylvania. We defeated Senator Bob Casey, and we're coming for your seat too, peacefully. Apparently, Zelensky left the United States empty-handed after disrespecting our country in the Oval Office and refusing to apologize to President Trump. Dude's going home with no mineral deal, no peace deal, and a tanking approval rating. Farewell to the biggest grifter in history. Glenn Beck responding to Zelensky. Thank you, America. Thank you for your support. Thank you for this visit. Thank you, President. Glenn Beck says, we are not blind to who Putin is, but we are also not blind to who you are. You are a rude, arrogant, manipulative man. We are and always will be with your people, but I'm glad that we are finally done with you. I sincerely hope we begin to track the graft, bribery, and corruption that has greeted our money. We will not be surprised to find much of it hiding in your coffers. All right. Amuse is saying Epstein list. There is no list. Only the DOJ prosecutor, Maureen Comey, yes, that's James Comey, his daughter, who handled both Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein cases. She knows exactly who the girls were trafficked to. She declined to name, much less prosecute, even one of the men. If you want to know the names, you have to put her under oath and force her to testify. This is how Soros takes your money and uses it against you. Ukrainians were beginning to reset, but Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz told them Zelensky must leave the White House, return when they're ready for peace. All right, look at this. Here's Zelensky. And who is this that he's looking at? Here's a list. Manuel Noriega goes from U.S. friend to foe. CIA files prove America helped Saddam as he gassed Iran. America's lost ally. How Gaddafi went from foe to ally. And then, of course, Bin Laden. All the people that used to work with the deep state. You know where you're headed, right? Clandestine says Zelensky is a dead man walking. He has two options: surrender and agree to the ceasefire, and Trump finds out where the money went in Ukraine, and he's a dead man. Don't surrender. Trump shuts off all support. Putin takes all of Ukraine, and he's a dead man. Pick your poison. At least option A will spare the lives of many innocent Ukrainian and Russian soldiers, but no matter how you slice it, there is no scenario where Zelensky survives this. Zelensky just dug his own grave in front of the entire world. Not one more cent. I can't believe it. I've been advising, not that he's listening to me, but I've been advising him on how to bow out of this thing gracefully because he has no clout. Zelensky just gave Trump a golden ticket, says Clandestine. Now Trump has the optics to shut down all aid to Ukraine, turn up the heat on the investigation into the money laundering, and negotiations with Putin just got easier. This was a massive turning point for public perception of Ukraine, and I'd argue we are now closer to peace now that Trump no longer has to worry about being seemingly supportive of Ukraine. He can come to terms with Putin, and Zelensky will remain at the kids' table while the adults determine his fate. Today, the veil was lifted. Vote in our poll. Do you agree or disagree that Trump and Vance were awesome today? Glenn Beck also continued, celebrate that the game is over. For years, USAID, Burisma, Obama, Biden, Clinton, Soros, and the U.S. State Department have run revolutions in money laundering through Zelensky. Trump knows it firsthand, and he was still willing for a way to find peace. Good luck, NATO. Good luck. There's that meme again. That is just, he's like, join us. Join us. Here's a good back and forth comparison.
in their lives.
The one thing I think we can agree on is we should.
There's Mike Pence just sitting back
and shut down the government over a dispute, and you want to shut it down. You keep talking about it.
The last time, Chuck, you shut it down.
No.
And then you opened it up very quickly. And
20 times.
I don't want to do what you did.
20 times you have called for, I will shut down the government if I don't get my wool. None of us have said.
You want to know something?
You've said it.
Okay, you want to put that on my.
You've said it.
I'll take it.
Okay, good.
You know what I'll say? Yes. If we don't get what we want, one way or the other, whether it's through you, through a military, through anything you want to call, I will shut down the government.
Okay,
absolutely.
fair enough.
And
We
I am
disagree.
proud, and I'll
We
tell you
disagree.
what, I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck, because the people of this country don't want criminals and people that have lots of problems and drugs pouring into our countries.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
imagine crossing your arms and leaning back to that.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you...
Anyway. Yep. You are gambling with World War III, and there's all these people getting kidnapped and conscripted, thrown into vehicle. Look at that. Just knocks him off his bike and throws him into a car. Beating people up and stealing them. Kidnapping these people. Because they need people to go into the meat grinder. Is that what you're supporting? When you say support Ukraine, this is what you're supporting? Perhaps the most corrupt government. Brutality. Jesse was asking, could this be a violation of the Logan Act? You know, all these people, Rice and them, not in the administration, kind of working with Zelensky to prep him for what he's supposed to go say. And we said, sadly, the Logan Act seems to have become Schrodinger's Act. It's both important and not important. It happens all the time and it happens never. It's really weird. It's really weird. Brian Cates, what makes this so hysterically funny to me right now is how all these thieves like John Kerry are literally so committed to the scheme at this point, they're forced to keep mumbling the same stupid shit they've been mumbling for 50 years. Now it didn't matter that more and more of the public figured out over the last 50 years that the climate change crisis was a hoax. It didn't matter. Know why? They were still getting the money. USAID and other federal agencies were still sending billions to the climate crisis NGOs. The fact most of the public no longer believed the hoax literally did not matter. Like clockwork, those billions of our tax dollars kept being shipped out every damn year to these thieves until now. Not only has Trump and Elon shut down the money laundering to the hundreds of climate crisis NGOs, that's just the first step. Next comes the clawback of as much money as Trump and Elon can find. After that, the investigations, indictments, arraignments, and prosecutions of the people who stole trillions of our tax money to promote this hoax. Ukrainian hobo dictator? What? He's posting on X almost every minute, thanking every world leader. He's so triggered. Parliament currently in session to pass a resolution. There's the Dubinsky stuff. That's an iconic picture right here. But please, listen, I want more of the money. Listen here, pal, you hold no cards. He thinks he's got a lot of cards. Jenk saying no one in their right mind thinks Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. So what is the only force on earth that is powerful enough to kill someone inside a U.S. prison and get away with it, and powerful enough to make sure neither party ever says anything about it? Huh. Also, is it true that, if it's true that Blinken, Rice, Nuland, and Vindman conference called with Zelensky on the flight to D.C., advising him to stand strong and be tough and don't let Trump bully you, seems to have backfired. Perhaps the FBI Director Patel should meet with these clowns for a debriefing after talking with a foreign head of state. Just a thought. Mike Ben's asking, who was Thomas Crooks on the phone with before he shot the president of the United States in the face? New York Post saying a would-be Trump assassin Thomas Crooks may have had accomplices. Data shows. Where's all that information already? Where's it at? Luke Radowski, really bad day for Lindsey Graham and John Bolton. And this lady here saying, when you lose Lindsey Graham's war support, you lost everything. Mother and daughter wanted for kicking a dog while armed with a gun. Lagashia Williams and Gracia Amara of Pittsburgh, California. Awful video. I just hate animal abuse. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Just a reminder that Joe Biden gave Zelensky $8 billion on the same day that Hurricane Helene hit the United States. Read that again. That's money that should have been used here. And yeah, the same SDNY that is now hiding the Epstein files that reveal crimes against children is also the Southern District of New York that had possession of and hid Anthony Weiner's laptop. This means they have been running cover for the pedophiles for years. Sidney Powell claimed that when the New York police officers saw some of the crimes on that laptop, they had to throw up in disgust. Strong letters will not suffice. We need perp walks and firings immediately. Our own FBI is running cover for the crimes against humanity. Release the truth to the American people. Yeah, where were the Hillary emails? Where are 335,000 kids? What's going on? Don't tell us what we're going to feel. Anyway, you kind of get it. Dan Scavino posts this. He says, in President Trump's first week back in office, he told the world that we were going to find jihadi terrorists that mean to do Americans harm and bring them to ultimate justice. In just the past week, under the leadership of our great Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, our warfighters have killed more than 5 high-value targets. The dead terrorists include 2 members of Al-Qaeda in Syria and 3 members of ISIS in Somalia. If you're a jihadi who wants to hurt us, it doesn't matter where you hide. America's warriors will not stop hunting you until they find you. And I think we'll leave it there. Thank you, everybody, for watching today. The TNAM AM Show here on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. Please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the heart button, hit the thumbs up if you're watching on your mobile app on YouTube or whatever device, Facebook or Instagram, however you're watching. We're on X at American_media_. Our podcast is under the Agree to Disagree Show, Spotify and iTunes. Telegram and Signal, we are TNAM in TNAM Chat, the New American Media. That's TNAM in TNAM Chat. Link up with our pages for the New American Media, Facebook, Instagram, Truth Social, Rumble, and YouTube. If you'd like to contribute to us and help fund our operations, PayPal is at Fuzz Installment. Venmo is at Brian Engelman. Cash App, $ Brian Engelman. And patreon.com/The New American Media if you'd like to sign up. Thank you for watching. Please share this content far and wide, as we appreciate that. Try to deliver you a bunch of news. Try to be fun about it. Try to add interesting, unique perspectives to it. Add a little humor here and there, and try to take your comments as they come in as well. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back. Not sure if we'll be back tomorrow, but definitely Monday. Stay tuned on tomorrow. We shall see. I'm going to head out for now.